If the quote is less than you're currently paying, you'll end up saving money on your car insurance every month. And if it's more than you're currently paying, you can ask for 500 Rand. And if you've been with the same insurer and claim free for 3 years or more, tell us you want 1,500 Rand.
Give our insurance a call. It's a win-win. You can't lose.
SMS out to 30754 now. That's out to 30754. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP. T's, C's, and limits apply. Premiums are risk profile dependent and reviewed annually. Client comments do not constitute financial advice.
Masandawana had full control in front of their home fans against FC Nouadhibou, and they want to triumph again to stay on the summit of Group A. Meanwhile, the Mauritanian outfit says not in their own backyard. This is the CAF Champions League. The Orange Club battles it out with Kabuyelo. Witness Africa's beautiful game, FC Nouadhibou versus Mamelodi Sundowns, the Saturday 24 February at 5:30 p.m. Live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Also available on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Hashtag we love it here. Brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
Aldrin Sampear, muhashi wa ntokoto na vutshila, wena masusa xivundza mayi, rito eka lava ri pfumalaka, rito leri hangalakeke na misava hinkwayo, ri haxa mbewu ya vutlhari. Xana imani anga ku miyetaka ke? Imani anga miyetaka mpfumawulo wa rito ra ku ke? 3 to 6 hi tshama hi ri etindleve eka SAFM, hikuva u hi phamela swakudya swa miehleketo hi dya hi tlhela hi xipa. Ndzi ri halala Aldrin Sampear, halala wena la selekiweke eswitikweni swa vutlhari, a katingiwa etimbiteni ta vutivi, a sekiwa hi galaza ra vutshila. Loko ri mina ntombi ya mutsonga n'wa xambula makutla wa madyafu ri la tsundzuka n'wana hi ku heta, ndzi ku hluvulela xihuku, ndzi ri kula u ringana na ndlopfu. Halala Aldrin Sampear, halala.
Aldrin Sampear on Beyond the Headline.
Can I say halala Criselda halala, referring to Criselda Lewis here. So Criselda Lewis will be delivering the inaugural lecture that's called The Assembly at the School of Journalism and Media Studies at Rhodes University. So she'll be joining us in the next short while. So proud of her. So she'll be joining us in the next short while. She'll be delivering the lecture later on this afternoon at around, or this evening around about 5:30. Yeah. Making incredible strides. Good afternoon. It is 10 minutes after 4 o'clock. My name is Aldrin Sampear. This is Beyond the Headline with me, Aldrin Sampear. We're with you from now up until 6 o'clock. Thank you so much for choosing us this afternoon. Coming up on the show, we've already said they'll be in conversation with Criselda Lewis, a senior SABC News reporter, and also Dr. Janine de Toit, who's the head of the School of Journalism and Media Studies at Rhodes University, where Criselda will be delivering the inaugural lecture. And then at 3:20, we speak to Tasneem Fredericks, who's the spokesperson for the SA Lawyers for Justice, as we look at the application that has been brought before the International Court of Justice in relation to the declaration around the unlawful occupation of Israel in Palestinian territories. So we'll be speaking to about the submissions that have been made by some of the countries, including South Africa. And also in the show this afternoon, we speak to Kulekile Ngandane, who's a parent of one of the children who died in the Enyobani Tavern, where 21 children were killed in June 2022. Today, the sentencing was handed down to the owners of the Enyobani Tavern, where the 21 children died. And remember that they were charged with selling liquor to minors. That's the only charge that they were facing, and they were found guilty. And today they were sentenced to 5,000 Rand or 100 days in prison. I know that a lot of people are upset because of the extent of the tragedy. However, though, remember that the charge that they were facing was a charge of selling alcohol to a minor. And unfortunately, that charge, the sentencing of that charge, isn't as heavy as if you were to be convicted, for instance, for murder or even sometimes homicide. So we will be speaking to Kulegile Ngandane, and there will be an inquest looking into the deaths of these children. And perhaps maybe at a later stage there could be murder charges that are brought against the owners of the tavern. At 4:10, we speak to Paramile Hlubi-Majola, who's the spokesperson for the National Union of Metal Workers of South Africa. Earlier today, NUMSA conducted a march to PATCO offices in Sandton to expose the cruel treatment of its workers. We'll be speaking to about that, and also speaking to Lindo Gutlekulu, who's the spokesperson of PATCO, to listen into, or respond rather, to what Paramile Hlubi-Majola has to say, NUMSA, in as far as the treatment of its workers are concerned, or its members are concerned, at PATCO. At 5:20, there's a story being run by Sunday Times, where there are papers that have been filed by the ANC. You may have heard a bit earlier on today, the DA had a press briefing in relation to the cadre deployment documents that were handed over to the ANC, and they say that it is not all of the minutes. It is not all of the minutes. And Sunday Times is running with a story based on the affidavit that has been submitted by the ANC that the laptop crashed. The laptop that has the minutes and the documents crashed. And unfortunately, they can't retrieve some of the data, and that's the reason why they couldn't hand over data to, or some of the data at least, to the Democratic Alliance. So we'll be speaking about that. And then at 5:10, it is the bonding session. Dr. DJ Dinks is joining us. She's our co-host this afternoon. Each friend group has specific people: the drunk one, the quiet one, the loud one, the protective one, and the responsible one. Which one are you? 0614-104107, and you can also drop me an X at Aldrin Sampear.
Beyond the Headline with Aldrin Sampear on SAFM. Weekdays, 3 to 6 p.m.
It is 14 minutes after 3 o'clock. Today, the School of Journalism and Media Studies of Rhodes University will, for the first time in its academic calendar, introduce the Assembly. And guess what? Our very own multi-award winning investigative journalist, Griselda Zozi Lewis, will be delivering the inaugural lecture to usher in this new forum. She joins us now to talk about her moment of pride. But before we speak to her, let's speak to the university first about the significance of today's event, and also about the guest of honor and why Griselda Lewis. Dr. Janine de Toit, who's the head of a School of Journalism and Media Studies at Rhodes University, is now joining us on the line. Dr. de Toit, good afternoon. Thank you so much for making time for us. Why our Griselda Lewis?
Hi, Aldrin. Nice to speak to you. We asked Griselda Lewis because she is somebody who means a lot to us. She's also of the Eastern Cape. She's not one of our own alumni, but she's an alumnus of Walter Sisulu. But we regard Walter Sisulu as a close partner institution for us here in the Eastern Cape. I mean, we see ourselves here in the Eastern Cape as the birthplace of journalism. And we still play, an important role in producing many of the people who go on to make a name for themselves across the country. And we're very proud of Griselda in that regard. And we see her as a change maker, and that's what we want our own students to be. She has her own approach to journalism at the public broadcaster, and has a following of people who aspire to the way she tells stories, and that's. We include our own stories, our own students in that group of people.
Yeah.
So we wanted to bring her to our students. We at the moment in a difficult time in this country with regards to the situation in journalism. So the Assembly is supposed to be a space for us to come together as a community of practice to consider what it is that we can do, and to inspire our students to be part of answering that question. We feel that Griselda can inspire and encourage them to step into that kind of role. So that was our thinking.
And also, speaking about the current environment that we are in, it's also that it requires a lot of courage. It requires a lot of courage to ask the tough questions. It requires a level of temperament that would allow you to walk into the face of danger and say that there's one purpose that's bringing me here, and that purpose is actually to tell a story. And I can tell you that Griselda Lewis is definitely that person, even within our newsroom as well.
Yes, we're certainly aware of that, and we honor her for the Brave Journalism Award that she's recently received as well in that regard. Part of our thinking around this assembly is that we are here to support journalists like Griselda. people who act with courage and people who face situations of conflict and trauma on a daily basis, that they're not on their own, and that they don't have that responsibility on their shoulders alone. So we bring her to us also to say to Griselda that we stand behind her in the work that she's doing.
Dr. Totoy, thank you so much for your time. Griselda Lewis is joining us on the line, our very own Griselda Lewis at that. Friend.
Afternoon, Aldrin.
21 years of journalism, and here you are delivering an inaugural lecture. How apt.
I really didn't think, that this moment would come. It's such a pleasure, to speak in particular to students at this world-renowned university and really school of excellence for journalists, upcoming journalists. And I'm so excited, Aldrin, to speak to them later on this afternoon into this evening, because as you correctly point out, together with Dr. Totoy, I think journalism is really in a position that it's never been in before. And it's really important how the next generation of journalists is going to be able to navigate through very tough terrains. I mean, there are so many things that are happening to journalists and to the profession at this particular time, which I think are issues that we need to address. We need not dance around them and find ways in which we're all going to be able to say we are a group of people who are going to be able to aspire to ensuring that this profession lasts, that this profession is a profession that, we will still be able to, over the next 15, 20 years, be proud of this profession. So I'm very excited about speaking to these young people to begin this journey. Yeah.
And for those, unfortunately, who won't be able to follow the proceedings, I just want to touch on a question in relation to you being a journalist, of course, and navigating the space within the newsroom, the difficulties within the newsroom, because those are human beings that we are dealing with. But then at the same time as well, navigating, doing what you need to do, asking the difficult questions, going underground with the zamazamas, and also exposing the thugs.
Oh, absolutely. And, just very recently, I traveled to Turkey, where we really saw solidarity between two nations, Aldrin. And I think those are some of the memories that fall in very etched in my mind, simply because, I've never seen that kind of devastation. I've always wanted to tell stories of ordinary people, because I feel many a times there's so much focus that is put on politics, but we tend to forget about why we actually do what we do, is to change the lives of ordinary people. And every single story that we do must have a human face. That's gotten lost somewhere, Aldrin. And because politics somehow seems to take center stage. But we can't ignore that, of course, because the political landscape certainly does shape, for example, how ordinary people are going to be able to thrive or live their lives. But we must never forget the core of why we do what we do, and especially because, South Africa is celebrating 30 years of democracy. Let's not forget the pivotal role that journalism has also played in shaping the democracy that we today enjoy, which, of course, has its own thorns.
All the best, Zosie, and I'm really proud of you. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Aldrin.
Well done.
Appreciate it.
I hope that after you've delivered your lecture, you'll share the document and we'll be able to dissect it one day.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Aldrin.
There's going to come a day where they go, Griselda Lewis et al. Because you're definitely going on to the Hall of Fame. All the best, Griselda. Really proud of you. Our very own Griselda Lewis there, who will be delivering the inaugural lecture at the School of Journalism and Media Studies at Rhodes University at what they are introducing on the academic calendar that is called the Assembly. Congratulations to her, and thank you so much to the team at Rhodes University for recognizing the work that Griselda Lewis has been doing.
After a narrow 1-0 victory on home soil, Modern Future want to do it again away from home. Meanwhile, Matsatansa Putori says their kindness ended in Cairo. This is the Confederation Cup. Catch the return leg group stage clash between SuperSport United FC and Modern Future FC this Sunday, 25 February at 3 p.m. Live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Also available on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Hashtag We Love It Here. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
You are listening to Aldrin Sampear on SAFM.
0614-104-107, and you can also drop me an X at Aldrin Sampear, and our studio line is 086-000-2032. We're in conversation next with the Tasneem Fredericks, who's the spokesperson for SA Lawyers for Justice, and this is as the ICJ concludes listening to applications, or rather submissions, being made by countries following the application that was made by the United Nations General Assembly on the declaration of the unlawfulness of the occupation of various territories in Palestine by Israel. So legal arguments continue in the International Court of Justice on Israel's occupation of the Palestinian territories. So far, several countries have made it very clear that Israel's occupation of Palestinian territories is unlawful, also adding that it should end immediately. At least 29,514 Palestinians have been killed and 69,616 injured in Israel in the Israeli attacks on Gaza since October the 7th. And we now speak to Tasneem. Tasneem, good afternoon. Thank you so much for making time for us. What do you make of all of the submissions that have been made so far?
It's an unprecedented time in world history. We're at the World Court at the moment, and we've seen since December 19 December, when South Africa courageously, stood up as the leader of the free world, and was probably best situated and best placed to speak on apartheid. I mean, I don't think any other country can speak better on this issue, on this topic, as us as South Africans, and definitely our government. So what we're now seeing this week, starting Monday, and I think conclusion is on Monday next week, is that we have the UN General Assembly asking the ICJ to make an advisory opinion, as they have been doing on this issue of the illegal occupation of Palestine by Israel. And I think for me, the highlights would be the first day when Dr. Riyad Mansour opened with a strong opening and basically, broke down in tears. He had a raspy voice, and he said it's so painful to be Palestinians. But, even though we see this massacre, this ethnic cleansing, this constant oppression and suffocation that Palestinians live on a day-to-day basis, part of his address was very reconciliatory in that he said, that Palestinians want to see a future where there's no Israeli and no Palestinian being killed, two states where people live side by side in peace and harmony. And I think that was, for me, that was like really just a beautiful moment that you can be so hurtfully and oppressed, and you can have your home demolished and live with all of these raids and restrictions on mobility, and then still say, but we want to see a better future for everyone. Imagine. So that was quite something.
Yep.
That
I was just looking at the submission that was made a couple of moments ago by the senior Qatari diplomat Al-Qahtani, who said that the credibility of the international legal order depends on the ICJ's opinion, but going as far as saying that some children are deemed worthy of protection while others are killed in their thousands.
Yeah. I think that is such a critical point to make, speaking to the credibility of the court. I mean, this is not activists that are standing on a street corner waving Palestinian flags, wearing scarves, that type of thing. This is a credible legal institution. I mean, this is the court of courts. This is the highest court for human rights. And for this court to pronounce, like it pronounced on the 26th of January, that there is plausible evidence of a genocide was such an important turning point to shift the imbalance and to shift this disassociation from Israel being an apartheid regime, from being an occupier, and taking it beyond this, but our right to defend. I mean, the court has pronounced that even in defending yourself, you cannot commit a genocide. So there were quite important points made, and I think this court has to follow what it's been doing. And in fact, Aldrin, in 2004, the ICJ made a ruling on the illegality of the war. And Israel has just been in defiance of international law. And I think its credibility as a member state is now in the balance. Its credibility as a democracy is now in the balance. I mean, we saw on Wednesday Netanyahu's Knesset, their parliament, voting against the establishment of a Palestinian state, while, as you hear testimonies being repeated one after the other, Palestinians are saying they're looking at a two-state solution. Other countries are talking about a two-state solution. And here you have Israel in its highest body, making parliament saying, we're never going to have that. This is from a right-wing settler party that Netanyahu leads. Yeah. So it's almost like they're pronouncing in advance that they're not going to listen to the ICJ, and I think that is important for the world to note. And I don't see how the U.S. can still be backing a country that is so belligerent, that is basically now becoming a banana republic, if you ask me.
For me, what's also interesting, Tasneem, is you watch the proceedings that are happening at the United Nations Security Council, and the rules are followed to the T. The state that has veto power is able to stop a resolution, for instance, like the United States has done. But there's also rules when it comes to international law. But why can't those who are actually exercising the power of the rule of law also insist that the rule of law must also be followed by their allies?
Absolutely, Aldrin. And I mean, I thought that after the ruling of an interim, we do know that this is the first time Israel is being held to account. They need to come back to the court and then, defend this genocide case against themselves. So that in itself is historical because they've never been held accountable. But more importantly, I mean, to your point where you say, why are they getting away basically with murder, and why are other states not being able to ensure that? Because, I mean, what are we actually talking about? We're talking about adhering and following established international law that all member countries are supposed to comply and obey. And I think, to me, the answer would have been on the 26th of January, when the ICJ ruled that there was plausible evidence for a genocide. I would have expected, and I did see quite a number of countries coming forward and expelling the Israeli ambassadors in their countries, and also really looking at, obviously diplomatic relations, and then also the trade with Israel. You cannot appeal to Israel on a humanitarian level. Their program of ethnic cleansing goes back, further than 1917 probably. Mm-hmm. So for me, how do you put pressure, moral pressure, legal pressure, on a country like Israel that is so belligerent? You need to tell them, we're not doing business with you anymore, exactly like we did to end and dismantle apartheid in South Africa. Yeah,
and of course Israel is denying that that this is ethnic cleansing. Sorry, Tasneem, I just need to quickly squeeze in this question before we go to the news headlines. Sure. I saw the statement that you released on calling on the NPA to prosecute Arik Maslawi, who is a member of the IDF, Israeli Defense Force. Is there any legal, is there any legal prescript that the NPA can rely on to push for a prosecution of somebody that has committed a crime somewhere else but is currently in South Africa for vacation, allegedly?
Yeah, so just a quick correction. It's not the Israeli Defense Forces, the Israeli occupier forces, because they're not defending anything, they're occupying.
He's a member of the IDF, isn't he?
Yeah, but it's actually the IOF. It's not really the IDF if you look at it. It's a misnomer. Mm-hmm. Anyway, semantics aside, you're asking me a very, legitimate question, and we have written to the NPA, the Director of Public Prosecutions, calling on our government to arrest Arik Maslawi and to rely on the Foreign Military Assistance Act, as well as the implementation of the Rome Statute of the International Criminal Court Act. We have previously prosecuted war criminals from Israel in South Africa. There's the Gaza docket. There's a number of attorneys in South Africa that are currently working on these prosecutions. Obviously, they take time. It is at the attention of the DPP, and we also await further action. And definitely, I mean, the arrogance and the absurdity to come to a country that is leading a charge of genocide and then going on social media and advertising your role and how, making a joke of a genocide is just, it's beyond gross, and it needs to be brought to book. And we need to be clear on our position as South African citizens that we are not going to tolerate war criminals in our country.
Tasneem, thank you so much for your time. Tasneem Fredericks is the spokesperson for SA Lawyers for Justice. It is 2 minutes after 3:30. It's time for the news headlines.
Thanks, Aldrin. A very good afternoon. With the news headlines, Kemudupima Khalemele. The DA says it has found evidence that the ANC's Cater Deployment Committee continued interfering in the appointment of state officials even after the findings of the State Capture Commission against the practice. The Northwest High Court has sentenced a 43-year-old man to 11 life terms on rape charges and an additional 363 years for other serious offenses. And a report by the UN Human Rights Office has laid bare the horrific violations being committed by both sides in the conflict in Sudan. Details at 4.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
And let's see what's happening on the roads with Rob Byrne. Good afternoon.
Afternoon, Aldrin. Very heavy on Pretoria's N1 North. There's been a crash in amongst the Friday volumes at Rigel Avenue. Traffic's back through Borta and back towards John Foster Drive. That's a heavy queue around Joburg. Today, an earlier crash on the N1 North just after Malabongwe Drive. Still queuing things up both directions. Southbound's probably heavier as you come from Rivonia down through Four Ways and down towards the Malabongwe exit. The northbound side still being held up at that scene. And a collision on the N3 south at Marlborough Drive. So some delays coming off the Buccleuch interchange. Durban fairly heavy today. If you're driving in from the airport or from Belito towards central Durban, there's an earlier crash and a vehicle fire around Gateway. So big backlogs from Sabaya as you line up towards that scene. Also from Umhlanga on the M4, the alternative route to beat the N2. That's heavy due to roadworks around the Durban North exit. Marion Hill Plaza has sorted itself out. So processing of toll fees normal now. No repetition of what we saw this morning. And Cape Town, a couple of crash changes causing delays. The N1 Service Road out of town passing Canal Walker, crash out before the N7, so that's heavy. And if you're heading out towards Khayelitsha or Somerset West, you've got a pile of traffic to get through. N2 outbound is a crash at the R300 and the backlogs at Robert Sobukwe. Rob Byrne, SAFM Traffic.
This is SAFM Sports with Duming Khapele.
And the ladies are back in action. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Aldrin. Yes, they are. Banyana are in action this afternoon and they're taking on Tanzania in the first leg of the third round of the Olympic qualifiers. The kickoff was at 3 p.m. and the return leg rather will be at Mbombela Stadium next Tuesday with the winner to advance to the last round. In terms of this game, it is 34 minutes into the game and Banyana are currently leading 1-0 with Jermaine Seoposengwe scoring that one goal, and we really hope that more goals are coming from Banyana, and only 2 nations from Africa will compete at the games in Paris. Meanwhile, Nedbank Cup continues this evening. Calling knockout champions Stellenbosch FC will be at home to the Motsepe Foundation Championships side Pretoria Calais, and the second game will feature Amazulu at home to TS Galaxy at the Mpumalanga Stadium, with both games kicking off at 7 p.m. Then Nedbank Cup defending champions Orlando Pirates will be involved in a David versus Goliath game. Tomorrow, the Sea Robbers visit 3rd Division side Crystal Lake of Mpumalanga, and the head coach Jose Rivero says that they will use their experience against Crystal Lake.
It's a challenge and it's an opportunity for us to be the team that we want to be consistently. It doesn't make any sense to perform the way we did it a few days ago in Pretoria. And now have the opportunity to develop the same type of performance and not do it. So it's maybe one of our deficits in this type of game. So with the preparation right now, so far it's been the same like in every other game. There's nothing that we are doing that we don't do in a preparation for a PSL game, for example.
Kaizer Chiefs will also be in action and they welcome Milford FC from MFC. Then in Olympic news, Russia's appeal against the International Olympic Committee's decision to suspend its membership has been dismissed by the Court of Arbitration for Sport. The IOC suspended the Russian Olympic Committee with immediate effect in October for a breach of the Olympic Charter. The ROC recognized regional organizations from 4 Ukraine terrorists illegally annexed by Russia since its full-scale scale invasion began in 2022. Now, the suspension by the IOC means that the ROC is no longer entitled to operate as a National Olympic Committee. In cricket, England will be without Rehan Ahmed for the rest of their tour of India, as the teenage leg spinner is set to return home because of an urgent family matter. The 19-year-old featured in the first 3 tests but was left out of the penultimate contest in Ranchi, which began today, as England selected left armour Tom Hartley and off-break bowler Shoaib Bashir as their spinners. Ending things off with swimming, President of Swimming South Africa, Alan Fritz, has officially stated his intention to engage with Sports Minister Zizi Kodwa for a crucial financial support to aid the Federation in its preparations for the Olympic Games. Fritz emphasized the necessity of approximately 6 million rand in funding to procure 2 new generators essential for heating the pool at a centralized venue where elite swimmers will train for the impending Olympics, which is set for July and August. Meanwhile, he has urged the nation to unite in support of the swimming team as they prepare for the coming up games.
Swimming needs the country, and the country needs swimming to fire on all cylinders, so to speak. And once we have that united nation, the rugby team has showed us what can be achieved.
Right then, that's it from my side for now. I'll have more in the next hour for SAFM Sport. I'm Dumin Kapele.
SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide.
Mzansi Africa.
Siyalobuga.
Siyabulela nangomso.
Thank you for witnessing the Africa Cup of Nations Cote d'Ivoire 2023 in your language of choice on SABC radio stations, digital platforms, and SABC TV channels.
Big ups to Unilever for being on board.
Your magnificent and heartwarming support gave millions of South Africans a spectacular and exhilarating experience during AFCON.
Asonye. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
And we will buy 500 cars, and we will buy 500 more. Just to be the one who buys your car, will come to you and offer more. We buy cars, we buy cars. Da-da-dun-da-da-dun-da-da-dun-da-da-da-da. We buy cars, we buy cars. Da-da-dun-da-da-dun-da-da-dun-da-da-da-da.
We Buy Cars, the easiest way to sell your car by far.
Coming up on the book reading, Why Men Hate Women.
Men in our society suffer from lovelessness. Under this are interred various experiences and affects. Feelings of being unlovable, of being unworthy of love, of being unloved, of poorly gratified hunger for love, and of an inconsistently gratified need for love.
Catch the book reading on SFM Monday to Thursday at 11:45 on the Talking Point.
Attention listeners, do you know a young visionary making a difference in South Africa? Sunday World is searching for unsung leaders to tech innovators. We are looking for the young minds driving positive change. Nominate someone who's making waves in education, science, tourism, or any field. Let's recognize and celebrate their contributions together. Nominate your unsung hero now, because every hero deserves their moment in the spotlight. Hashtag unsung heroes. Hashtag nominate now. Hashtag Sunday World. Visit www.sundaywworld.co.za/heroes-nomination-2024.
Beyond the Headline with Aldrin Sampear on SAFM. Weekdays 3 to 6 p.m.
It is 20 minutes now before 4 o'clock. Coming up, we'll be focusing on the judgment and sentencing that was handed down a bit earlier on today, and this is in relation to the Enyobeni Tavern, where the owners of the tavern have now been sentenced to 100 days in prison or 5,000 rand bail. We will be speaking to the parent of one of the people who died during that tragedy, and then also coming up on the show, but later on, just before we go to the news, at 4 o'clock. Okay, we haven't confirmed that, is it? Okay. We'll be speaking to Kwilegali Ngandane, who is the father of one of the people who was killed during that tragic incident that happened in June 2022, where 21 young people died. We're taking your voice notes on 0614 104 107, and you can also drop me an X at Aldrin Sampear.
It's 10 past 3, my brother. At 4:10, we usually hear that indlu yawa. Now you say it's 4:10. You have only 5-10 minutes after you start your show. Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Did I say 10 past
Enjoy.
4? Apologies. Apologies. At least there's a reference that you can make that if we don't hear Indlu Yao, then it means it's not 10 past 4. So it was 10 past 3 earlier on. It's 18 minutes now before 4 o'clock.
Any verdict that was sent today by the magistrate that, yeah, it really shows that the justice system in South Africa is not going to resolve any challenge that we encounter on a daily basis. Because here we're talking about 21 kids who lost their life. Can you imagine, they say you pay a fine of 5,000 rand and 21 kids lost their life. What message are they sending to their parents who lost their loved one? Yeah, it's an insult. It's very bad.
Well, we're actually in conversation now with the parent of one of the people that were killed in that tragedy. Kululekile. Jeez, what a tongue twister this is today. Kululekile Ngandane is a parent of one of the people that were killed during the tragedy. Parents of children that died at the Enyobeni Tavern have expressed their disappointment on the sentence handed down to the Enyobeni Tavern owners by the East London Regional Court in the Eastern Cape. The owners, Siakangela and Vuyokazi Ndevu, were fined 5,000 rand each or 100 days in prison after they were found guilty of selling liquor to persons under the age of 18 years old. Enyobeni Tavern made headlines in 2022 after 21 young people died inside the tavern. And Ubab Ngandane is now joining us on the line. Ubab Ngandane, good afternoon. Thank you so much for making time for us. What do you make of the sentence that has now been handed down?
Good afternoon, and good afternoon to your listeners as well. Well, as a parent, I'm quite disappointed. I think the sentence was quite too lenient. Because yes, we understand that the case before the court was not for the death of the children, but because they sold alcohol to the underage children. But it's quite a serious case because according to the legislature or to the law, a maximum sentence at least 5 years or the fine or both. So we thought as in the seriousness of it, at least they would have got something more than what they receive.
And the point that's raised by the magistrate is that because they do not have any previous other convictions and these are first-time offenders, that's the reason why the sentence is as it is.
Well, yes, it's one of the mitigating circumstances that he said before the court. And also, he said that they have children, young children, 4 children, and they are both separate winners. But even that, I mean, you can imagine to break the law that is there for all of us to obey. I mean, it is quite a serious matter. Now you can imagine when that happened. I mean, all of the other places now that are selling liquor, so they will violate that law now. It means they will do the same as they have done to sell liquor to the underage children.
Yeah, and speaking about that, in terms of the responsibility, I just want to quickly play one of the voice notes that has come through from one of our listeners, and I'd love to hear your response to that as a parent as well, and somebody's made a similar, has expressed a similar sentiment on X. Just quickly listen to what this listener has to say.
Aldrin, I'm Kulego Duma. You know what? Before we blame the owner of the tavern, we must blame the parent of these kids, Aldrin. As a parent, what is in your mind if 8 o'clock your kid is not inside your yard? And all of these kids, they are smoking, they are drinking alcohol. So who must be blamed to that issue?
Babngandani, do you think that as a parent that you also bear some responsibility for what has taken place for the death of Bongolet?
No, I don't. Because I've taught Bongoletu quite a lot about the dangers of liquor, drugs, and all that. He knows what I've told him about it, and children will always be children, you know. And for us, it's now to prevent that from occurring going forward. This parent who was just talking now, he's talking as if she's not a parent. Children will always be children. You know, some of the children that died in that place, they were at their homes when the parents went to bed. But the parents don't know how they get out, you know. So all we need to do, where the laws and the legislation is there, we all need to be abide by that and do what is correct to prevent our youth. It is everyone's responsibility, more especially the owners of this establishment.
Yeah.
The law is there, stipulates clearly that no children under the age of 18 are allowed in those places or is in the worst part of it to consume or to buy and consume alcohol in your place.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about that? But now you act as if you are not a parent.
Yeah, because as you mentioned a bit earlier on, the magistrate also making reference to the co-owners of the tavern being parents themselves.
Exactly.
What lessons then do you draw from this tragedy that has taken place? Where do you think, what is it that you think that parents should be doing? What do you think that society should be doing? What do you think law enforcement should be doing? Because with the testimony that was delivered as well, it seems as though that there were moments or instances where children under the age of 18, even before what happened in June 2022, were allowed to buy alcohol from that establishment.
Yes, exactly like that. That's my point. It's not only our children who passed away. A lot is still, and that is still happening even after that incident. So now, our thought is for that the owners of this establishment should learn from that. But now the sentences that they got, they are not going to learn anything about the sentences that was given to the Nevo family. I mean, to be slapped with 5,000. That's absolutely nothing. He needed to be hard on them so that all the other businesses out there that are selling alcohol should learn from that.
What did the NPA then say to the families about the aspect around the deaths themselves? I remember there was the toxicology report. Some parents have disputed the report that has come back. What did the NPA say to the families around what happens now in relation to the loss of lives?
Now there is an inquest that is inquest that is started last year already, that will go into details as to what is the cause of the children, or who should be held liable for the death of the children. It's not that there's nothing that is happening. There is a case that is also before the other court.
Yeah. And you are hopeful that that would also lead to an outcome that would lead to somebody being held accountable, and perhaps even a sentence that is harsher than what you saw today.
Yes, we are hopeful. We hope that the law will take its course to make sure that things like that, they never happen again. I mean, that's exactly what I'm trying to say, that after that incident, children, these places, they are still allowing children to buy alcohol in their places and consume alcohol in their places. There are no stricter rules to say that children must not get in when they go to those places.
Thank you so much for your time. That is Kululekile Ngandane, who is the father of Bongoletu, who was amongst the underage children who died in June 2022 at the Enyobeni Tavern. And the co-owners have now been found guilty of selling alcohol to minors. They've been fined 5,000 Rand or 100 days in prison. This is while the inquest is still underway. On the other hand, the only charge that has been brought against them that they have been now found guilty on is the one relating to selling alcohol to a minor. 0614-104107, and you can also drop me an X at Aldrin Sampear.
Across South Africa, online and on radio. SAFM, let's talk.
Aldrin, the SAFM listeners, really 5,000 or 100 days in prison, really? Our black life is very cheap. Even the black people, they regard it as a very cheap life. Mind you, if maybe it was other nation, you will be like maybe for now be on trial and maybe like expecting a life sentence. But
Hi, Aldrin. I know, you know what, Aldrin, this thing is the tavern. Like, for me, you know what, I think the parents should be held responsible. I mean, what were those kids doing at that time out of the house? So I don't understand why the parents are making a whole big deal of this while it is, in a way, their lack of parenting that the kids were out. You know what, yes, what he did was wrong to serve alcohol, but what were the kids doing at that time? You understand? So I think for me, the sentence fits the bill.
The sentence fits
Not
the
that
bill.
I'm being insensitive, but
Okay.
yeah, Aldrin.
So according to legislation, if any person is found guilty of the offence of selling alcohol to a minor, they may be held liable on conviction of a fine not exceeding 1 million Rand or imprisonment for a period not exceeding 5 years. So compare 5 years to 100 days. Compare 1 million to 5,000 Rand. And then also take into consideration, as an aggravating circumstance, I believe, that 21 children died and several others were left injured. Let's go to the line now on 086 0002032. Tommy is joining us from Greytown. Good afternoon.
Yes, Adrian, greetings to yourself. I want to raise the issue of an invalid structure, logical structure of the argument. It's where the problem is. You see, yourself, Adrian, and the people who are calling, you want to lump two issues together when they should stand on their own. It's the issue of death. It's one issue which must be looked in its own context and merit. And the issue of selling of alcohol to the minors, which is a violation of the law and the license and so on, these are two separate matters that must be reflected on their merit, not lump them together because they've got no connection. You will agree with me that logically, selling when a minor consume alcohol, such an action will not lead into death as a reaction. So it means the children who died in Nyobeni, yes, they were consuming alcohol wrongly against the law, but such an action cannot on its own, as a stated cause, lead into an effect called death. Now, before the court then separated this matter, so what was before the court was not the issue of death, was the issue of the owner selling alcohol to the minors, which is against the law. That's why even the sanction, we must not forget the principle. The degree of the sanction is proportional to the degree of the damage that could be caused by the violation of the law.
Okay.
So that's why it is 100 days.
So what we know as a matter of fact, Tommy, is that there were at least 21 underage children in that establishment. That is what we know as a matter of fact, right?
Yes.
Okay. So alcohol was sold 2 underage children, plural, underage children, alcohol was sold to them. And I do personally understand where the disappointment comes from some family members, that this is not what we expected. Because as I put out as well, the aggravating circumstances pertaining to the tragedy that took place because of the first action, which was the action of selling alcohol to minors in your establishment.
Yeah,
So,
you see.
Yeah. So if the alcohol wasn't sold to the minors in the tavern, I think perhaps maybe you wouldn't have had this particular tragedy.
No, you mustn't think. There must be a scientific link, you know.
Yeah, but
you
isn't
don't work with the probability.
but
I'm saying, Adrian, the issue of young people consuming alcohol before they turn 18 is wrong.
Yeah.
But you and I agree that consuming an alcohol, even if you are 10 years, even if you are 5 years, it should not lead into death.
Okay.
Now, what we need to do is to start from the end point, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then say 21 children died. What is the cause of death? You start from there. But it can, and then you then realize that it cannot be that they were consuming alcohol as young as minor as they are.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you begin to lump these two together, you are violating the law of the cause and effect, because there is no water without a source. What is the source? There's a death. What is the source of that death? Obviously, it cannot be logically. It cannot be the consumption of alcohol.
Okay, so Tommy, tell us, why do you think the legislation says you can't sell or shouldn't sell alcohol to a child? Because that is informed by something, right? It is informed that it could lead to something based on research that has been done, right?
It's the same principle.
Like, for instance, when we speak about dolus eventualis, is that if something happens, you must foresee that there's a possibility of something else happening because of the action that you have taken as an adult. True?
No, it flows from the same principle. It's the question, the answer that you will give to that question is the very same answer that will give why people who are under 18 are not voting. It's the same principle. They have not reached a stage where they can make their decision independently.
Yes.
So that is why.
Because what does the law say about them? The law says that they are minors, right?
They are minors.
Yes. And you don't sell alcohol to minors, because once you sell alcohol to minors, there's a possibility of something happening.
It's wrong. That's why the court found that the owner guilty. It's wrong. But the issue of then the sanction should then depend on the proportionality. You can't treat the issue of shoplifting while it causes damage, but with the murder, both are damages, but the degree is not the same. So the principle that guides the sanction is the damage that is being caused. The degree is not the same. That's why there are different sanctions. In as much as everybody could be wrong.
In as much as the consuming of the alcohol could have led to the death. But that's something that you'll deal on with the later stage. But anyway, Tommy, unfortunately, we've run out of time. It's 4 o'clock. It's time for the news.
Independent and impartial. This is SAFM News.
Thanks, Aldrin. The top stories. The DA makes further cadre deployment claims and 11 life terms for Northwest serial rapist. A very good afternoon. The DA says it has found evidence that the ANC's cadre deployment committee continued interfering in the appointment of state officials even after the findings of the State Capture Commission against the practice. The party says documents handed to it by the ANC show that President Cyril Ramaphosa was summoned by the cadre deployment committee for failing to consult it before making an appointment. DA MP Leon Schreiber has told a media briefing in Cape Town that this points to serious transgressions.
He is minuted as being fully aware of committee processes, and he apologizes to the committee for using his constitutional powers to make an appointment without getting direction from the Cadre Deployment Committee first. Secondly, the committee chastises a minister for not completing the committee process before advertising senior vacancies on the 20th of January 2020. The minister is admonished and urged to bring vacancies to the committee before advertising them.
The DA has threatened to launch a contempt of court application to force the ANC to hand over more documents from its Cadre Deployment Committee meetings. The party says it has given the ANC until Monday to hand over all the documents as directed by the Constitutional Court. The Northwest High Court has sentenced a 43-year-old man to 11 life terms on rape charges and an additional 363 years for other serious offences. They include attempted murder, theft, and robbery with aggravating circumstances. Johannes Tabile was arrested in 2019 in connection with numerous crimes which took place in Wolmaranstad between 2012 and 2018. Provincial NPA spokesperson Henry Mamotami.
The NPA, together with the SAPS in the Northwest, welcomes the hefty sentence imposed by Judge Tebogo Jaje on Johannes Unsiketse Tabile to 11 life terms on rape charges and a cumulative 363 years for other serious offences that he committed while tormenting women and children in the area of Wolmaranstad. We laud the sterling work of the SAPS in arresting him in 2019 after he committed a series of rapes in a period of 6 years.
An expert witness in the rape trial of the founder of the Rivers of Living Waters Church, Bishop Stephen Zondo, says many complainants in the matter viewed the church leader as having a godlike status. Investigative forensic psychologist Professor Gerard Labuskaghni is testifying in the High Court in Pretoria on the possible psychological explanations for the delay by many of the victims in reporting the alleged rapes. Zondo is facing multiple charges of rape and attempting to bribe one of his victims to drop the charges for offences committed between the 1980s and 2018. Many of the victims were members of his church. Labuskaghni's evidence-in-chief is being led by Senior State Prosecutor Advocate Jennifer Cronje.
The fear of the assailant, in this instance, being the accused who's the head of this church, what, in your opinion, would that have an impact at all on fear of that the victims experienced?
Many view him as almost having a godlike status.
All right, but are you referring to people in general or specific people?
Well, in this case, the ones that I interviewed, some of them had that.
Then, in this matter,
the case of two female police detectives based in Rustenburg in the Northwest arrested for corruption and extortion has been postponed to the end of May in the Rustenburg Magistrates Court. 54-year-old Sergeant Yvonne Suzanne Sigwani and 41-year-old Constable Buntlem Moody were arrested for allegedly demanding money from a victim of fraud, promising to fast-track the investigation of the case. The pair has been granted 1,000 Rand bail each. Northwest Police spokesperson Adele Myberg.
The accused were arrested during an undercover operation led by the Provincial Anti-Corruption Unit on Wednesday afternoon, the 21st of February. That was after information was received that the duo, whilst investigating a fraud case reported during May of 2021, allegedly demanded money on several occasions between October of 2022 to January of 2024 from the complainant in order to fast-track the investigation.
And a report by the UN Human Rights Office has laid bare horrific violations being committed by both sides in the conflict in Sudan. The report covers the 8 months after the conflict broke out last April and contains evidence from hundreds of people. The BBC's Imogen Folks has more.
Sudan's power struggle between two violent men and their followers is terrorizing an entire population. The UN report details the most atrocious violations. This week, video emerged in which students were beheaded by men in uniform. The report also details rape, including of children. The UN is calling for an end to the fighting and inclusive talks to restore a civilian-led government, something Sudan's people, but not its military leaders, have long hoped for.
The top story, the DA says it has found evidence that the ANC's Cater Deployment Committee continued interfering in the appointment of state officials even after the findings of the State Capture Commission against the practice. For SAFM News, Gimudupi Makhalemele.
In your sports this hour, Bucks banking on the experience against Crystal and Route 100 rallies England in Ranchi. More details at 4:30.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Well, it's a very heavy backlog on the N1 North getting up through Pretoria today. I don't know where all the traffic's come from. It's very quiet and calm Friday morning, but exactly the opposite today as you drive up. Big Friday volumes in the mix here as well. A breakdown and a crash scene just up by Rigel Avenue. The backlog is right the way through to John Foster Drive, and it is heavy across all lanes. Still with this collision on Joburg's N1 North just after Malabongwe, that's slow, but there's actually a bigger backlog from Rivonia heading down to the Randburg exit on the southbound side with the onlooking factor going on there. Durban, it's a really busy Friday afternoon. We've got an earlier vehicle fire incident on the N2 south around the gateway, so coming through from the airport, that's a heavy one, passing the M41 exit down towards the Komashu off-ramp. Also the N3, another breakdown in the roadworks at drive time heading out into Pinetown. It's just by Paradise Valley, so you're down an extra lane and the pressure really on from Spaghetti Junction territory. That's quite the new norm these days, with breakdowns in the roadwork section there. And Cape Town, a heavy queue on the N2 going out of town today. It's a collision scene by the R300. Again, it's Friday volumes in the mix. The N2 outbound starts to queue from right back as far as Robert Sobukwe Road. Before you get to the airport is where you queue. Rob Byrne, SAFM Traffic.
Stay safe on the roads. SAFM is with you.
Sure, girl, this Ford Puma, love the interior. And how about its award-winning engine and selectable drive modes? From only $7,899 per month with 0% deposit, primeless 5.5% and a driver assistance pack included.
Sure, get more with the new Ford Puma Titanium from only $7,899 per month.
Visit your nearest Ford dealer today. T&Cs apply.
RSP Pekane are happy to be on the summit of Group D. They just want to maintain their unbeaten record. But Babina Nogo are not impressed with their 2-0 loss in Morocco. They are searching for a big revenge. This is the CAF Confederation Cup. Catch the return leg between Sekhukhune United and RSP Pekane this Sunday, 25 February at 9 p.m. Live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Also available on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Hashtag We Love It Here. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Beyond the Headline with Aldrin Sampear on SAFM. Weekdays, 3 to 6 p.m.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1.
10 past 4.
10 past 4.
This is Aldrin Sampear on Beyond the Headline.
It is 10 past 4 coming up on the show in this hour. We're in conversation with Phakamile Hlubi-Majola, the spokesperson for the National Union of Metal Workers of South Africa, NUMSA, and this is on their standoff with the PATCO. She'll explain to us right now what the situation is currently, and then after that we'll be in conversation with Lindo Gutlekulu, who is the spokesperson for PATCO. And then at 20 past 4 we'll be in conversation with Khutato Madisa, who's a political reporter at the Sunday Times. The Sunday Times reporting this afternoon that the ANC has submitted an affidavit around why it is not able to submit some of the other documents relating to the deployment committee and deployment committee meetings of the ANC to the Democratic Alliance. And one of the reasons is because the laptop crashed. 0614-104-107.
Hashtag SAFMBTH.
Hello, Aldrin. Aldrin, this issue of Enyobeni, I don't see any way that the magistrate could have done, because if you remember, Aldrin, one or two of the parents, they were interviewed by the journalists, and those parents, they have said to themselves that their kids, they are always there. Every weekend, their kids, they always went there at Enyobeni. So it simply means the parents knew what was happening, but they couldn't take charge of the situation at that time. Thank you, Aldrin.
Good afternoon, Aldrin. Good afternoon, listeners of Radio SAFM. Maria April Springbok in Northern Cape. Aldrin, I cannot agree with the previous lady. The parents are not solely responsible for the actions of the kids, especially when they become teenagers. They make ways and means of get out of the house. I mean, yeah, maybe the parents could have wake up and where are they? But still, they cannot be solely responsible. I'm not agreeing to that. And yes, the sentence is far too little. I am sure maybe without the cash payment, they would have can go at least for 5 years to prison. That will be a bit better, not much better, because there's lives involved, but a bit better.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Okay, Moeketsi is saying that people have been convicted in terms of the Eastern Cape Liquor Act. There's an inquest taking place for the death of the children. Secondly, every parent is responsible for his or her children. Thirdly, every province has been empowered to control the selling of liquor by the National Liquor Act. Every province has its own legislation for selling liquor. The death is separate from selling. The circumstances to be dealt with in the inquest, the two instances are not the same. The speaker is correct. The two issues are separate. All issues will be dealt with during the inquest. But just because you say that the Eastern Cape has its own Liquor Act, it doesn't mean that the Provincial Liquor Act trumps the National Liquor Act. And the National Liquor Act says that you sell alcohol to a minor, you could be fined up to R1 million, and you could be imprisoned for up to 5 years. For up to 5 years. So we're just waiting for the full judgment to be made available, and once it has been made available, I think what we'll do next week is we'll get some legal experts around it as well, and perhaps maybe get some people in the alcohol industry as well to comment on the judgment that has been handed down. Because if you look at the sentence, and honestly to what Babu Ngandane was saying earlier on, does it really say that this is a deterrent? The sentence that has been handed down, is that a deterrent? Do you believe that it is a deterrent? 0614-104-107.
Conversations that you connect with and react to. SAFM.
0614-104-107, and you can also drop me an X at Aldrin Sampear. Earlier today, the National Union of Metal Workers of South Africa conducted a march to the PUTCO offices in Sandton to expose the cruel treatment of its workers over a salary dispute stemming back to the COVID-19 pandemic. The union highlights that the workers have been suspended without pay, unlawful deductions have been made against workers' salaries, and the shop stewards have been targeted by the employer. NUMSA has referred this matter to the CCMA, and it is before the Commission through the Section 73 inquiry. To tell us more about the mood of the workers, we speak to Pagamile Hlubi-Majola, who is the spokesperson of NUMSA. Pagamile, good afternoon. Thank you so much for making time for us. So there are a number of issues that NUMSA is raising here, including, I don't know if is it the suspension of the over 100 workers, or is it the firing that they have been dismissed?
Okay, thank you so much for this opportunity, Aldrin, and good afternoon to your listeners. Let me just clarify you a little bit there. So the background is that this case comes from the unprotected strike that happened in 2022. You remember? Workers at PUTCO went on strike in 2022. The dispute there was that PADCO management was refusing to implement the 6% wage increase. That's what sparked that incident. Now, the workers from that incident, PADCO tried to dismiss 1,000. NUMSA fought, negotiated. We finally managed to secure an agreement where only 120 of them would go through disciplinary process and others would be reinstated. So our gripe is actually about the fact that these 120 workers who are right now undergoing disciplinary processes, we are saying that PADCO is violating their right to dignity in terms of how they are treating them. When workers are placed on suspension, which these workers are, they've been suspended, the disciplinary hearing is ongoing at the CCMA. And the standard practice is that when you're suspended, you go home, you stay home, you only attend hearings when you're required, but otherwise you don't come to the workplace. What PADCO has done is that we think that they are abusing their power because they are insisting that these workers must report to the depot every single day in the period of their suspension. And if they're not at the depot, then they must be at the CCMA hearing. We're saying that is unreasonable because that is not necessary. The labor court has already noted that suspension on its own is a punishment. It's equivalent to an arrest. So why does PADCO insist that workers must report to the depot? And by the way, they force them to sit in this warehouse. They're just sitting there all day. They're not allowed access to decent water. They have to drink water from dirty JoJo tanks. They're not allowed access to decent toilets. They have to use portable toilets. And before that, they were using bucket toilets. And it was only when we complained that they actually replaced them with portable toilets. So this is why we're saying that they're being inhumane. They're treating workers like prisoners when there's no need for that. They're already suspended. They're already punished. Why do they feel like they have to punish them further? And what makes the situation worse, Aldrin, is that while they're on suspension, they're on paid suspension. But PADCO has been docking their pay, claiming that because some of them have been sick, they've produced medical certificates. PADCO claims that the medical certificates are fraudulent. They do so without any evidence and are saying that for workers to receive their pay in full, they have to go to the doctor, get an affidavit from the doctor, and the doctor must then tell PADCO the nature of the illness, the details of the consultation that was discussed.
But isn't that unlawful?
Of course it is. It's a blatant violation of privacy. But these are the demands that PADCO is making. And we're saying that you have no right to do that. You're already punishing these workers. They're already on suspension. They're already going through disciplinary hearings. And their complaint is the hearings are taking long. Well, unfortunately, when you've got 120 people that are being disciplined because of your greed, the process is going to take long.
Mm-hmm. So they report to work, they go into what has also been described as a cage and knock off to come back again the next day.
Absolutely. Every single day, even during the December holidays. And this is why we're saying this is just inhuman. Why do they feel that they have to do this? And we have actual recorded cases of workers who, like there was a woman who went to the CCMA. She was one of those who was suspended. It was a hearing. She attended the CCMA case. She collapsed during the CCMA hearing. She had to be hospitalized. PADCO was there. Their officials were there. But they're refusing to pay her salary in full because they say they don't know where she was. She was away without leave. There's another guy who was in fact, we even have pictures of his injury. He got injured at the depot where he was housed in this space that our members are calling a prison. His foot fell through a rusty grate. He cut his foot quite badly. For a couple of days, PADCO itself was transporting him to the hospital. PADCO now refuses to pay his salary in full. They say they don't know where he was. I mean, that is just unfair, Aldrin.
Yep.
And this is what has sparked the anger of our members to the extent where they felt like they had to, give a memorandum of demands to PADCO for all of this to stop.
So what's the CCMA saying? Because it also sounds that it is, for me, it sounds as though that there is a level of urgency that is required here because it also speaks to the health hazards that are within this so-called cage.
There would be no health hazard if PADCO would just do what everybody else and all other companies do, which is to stay home and only go to your CCMA case for a hearing. But their problem is that they feel like it is their responsibility to I don't know, enact some kind of punishment on these workers. They feel that it's not enough, suspension is not enough, and we feel that part of the reason is because these are the workers who exposed the fact that PATCO pretended that they couldn't afford to pay the increase in 2020 during the height of COVID, and yet the Exemptions Committee was able to demonstrate through their own financials that not only could they afford the increases, but they paid one of their own shareholders over 600 million.
Okay, thank you so much. Pagamile Hlubi Majola is the spokesperson of NUMSA. Listening into the conversation is Lindo Guhle-Xulu, who is the media liaison officer of PATCO. Lindo Guhle, good afternoon. Thank you so much for making time for us. Is Pagamile correct in a description in how you're treating these 120 workers?
Good afternoon, Aldrin. Thank you for the opportunity. I mean, first of all, just that parting shot from Paramil saying PATCO withheld the salaries of the workers, increases as well as bonuses, and paid the shareholder 600 million. Already you can ascertain that that would not be true in any form of shape. But let's deal with the issue of what Paramile is saying. I think the matter really started to flare up when PATCO amended the suspension condition of the employees that were on suspension. They were on paid suspension, but they were not required to report to our premises. The reason we amended that particular point was because what we had found out through the 17 months that we've been through the CCMA Section 188A process was that some of the workers had taken up secondary employment. So in breach of their contracts, they were working somewhere, getting paid by someone else's payroll while still in the payroll of PATCO. Another issue that we found was that when we tried to communicate with the workers to tell them about CCMA process, when are they going, facilitate transport, we couldn't reach them as well. Some of them could not be reached. And thirdly, in terms of the CCMA process itself, that is inquiring on whether they should be fired or not, we know that there were people that were not attending there. So we amended this particular suspension because of that. Paramile then continues through on behalf of NUMSA saying that the conditions with which they are housed are non-conducive, they are prison-like. But it's quite funny, Aldrin, that you would hear Paramile speaking like that, particularly because NUMSA has members in PATCO, and these workers are placed in natural working environment of PATCO, exactly where they would have reported if they were still in the employ of the company or they were active in their duties. But now, because we are saying they must report, they must not render any services, and because of this process, they are saying that that place is non-conducive. Can it be non-conducive for our workers that are currently performing their duties and not conducive for those that are outside in terms of this process of the Section 188A? It's difficult to comprehend the lies that have been settled in this state.
So the dirty water that she refers to, that they're being subjected to drink?
The dirty water. So what we did, Aldrin, is that there are facilities, municipal taps, as you would have in any other building, and I'm sure in that building you are broadcasting from, where workers are able to access water. But what we said, we were concerned about the number of people there, and we said, supplementarily, we are going to supplement the facilities we have with external facilities. So we put a JoJo tank, and what we basically do is we fill it with the municipal water from those very taps. What we also did was to say, we already have our facilities in terms of your ablution facilities or toilets, but we are going to put more because the number of people would maybe require more facilities. So we put temporary structures in that sense. But in no way does it say that the workers are not able to access our normal facilities in terms of water and our normal facilities in terms of toilets. Again, it's a peddling of lie that really seeks to paint and change the image of PATCO, all in the name of protecting a cohort of employees that have conducted gross misconduct.
Let's quickly go to the initial point that you raised. So you're saying that there are some workers that have taken up other employment. If that is in breach of the contract, why don't you just dismiss them?
We did dismiss them, Aldrin, but we saw that we cannot investigate them fully. And let me
but isn't that unfair on the other workers that did not go and find other employment?
It's unfair if we would have treated workers differently. Remember also, Aldrin, we are talking about an amendment here, an action by the company to say that they must report to duty. This is provided for in the laws of the country to say that when a worker is suspended with pay, the employer is the one that sets the condition of the suspension. Yes, and that's why I'm saying that we did not go to an illegal avenue to actually get them there. We are in legal bounds when we say they must report to duty in the premises with with which they worked before. So again, but we understand that there might be some frustration from NUMSA that now they are reporting for duty, but at the end of the day, they are reporting for duty, or they are coming to our premises and are getting paid for it, Aldrin. Yes, they are not rendering a service because we are waiting for the CCMA process to conclude, but there's no unfairness here that was practiced by PATCO. We merely just exercise our rights as an employer.
Okay, Lindo Kuhlequlu is the spokesperson there for PATCO.
Attention all HPCSA registered practitioners. It is your responsibility to comply with CPD requirements. Non-compliance may result in suspension, writing a compulsory board examination, or other penalties imposed by the professional boards. The CPD program is ongoing and practitioners must immediately comply to remain registered with council. To view your CPD status, update contact details or perform other self-service functions, access the HPCSA online portal or visit www.hpcsa.co.za.
The top flight outfits are adamant that they are the great masters of the game, but the junior teams refuse to shake and break. The moments of upset are back again in the battle of 32 teams. This is the Cup of Dreams, the Nedbank Cup. Experience it live on SABC TV channels and SABC radio stations. Also available on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Hashtag We Love It Here. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
The South African Broadcasting Corporation would like to alert the public of an email correspondence purporting to be that of the SABC, threatening the public that they will be issued with a warrant of arrest for non-payment of TV license fees. The public is advised to ignore the contents of a correspondence coming from an email address jjm@mega.bw. This is not an SABC address, and the corporation will not at any point threaten anyone with a warrant of arrest. The SABC also advised the public not to download any statement from this fake email as instructed. The SABC License Department can be reached on 011 3309 555 or can be accessed through an email to tvlic.info@sabc.co.za for friendly and kind customer service. Alternatively, the public may use our secure website, that's www.tvlic.co.za, to download statements.
You are listening to Aldrin Sampear on SAFM.
Let's quickly speak to Khutato Madisa, who's a political reporter at the Sunday Times. So the DA threatening to launch a contempt of court application to force the ANC to hand over more documents from its cadre deployment committee meetings. The party says it has given the ANC an ultimatum of tomorrow to hand over all the documents as directed by the Constitutional Court. The DA leader, John Steenhuisen, said at a media briefing in Cape Town that they will institute a criminal case against the ANC Secretary General, Fikile Mbalula, whom he accused of seeking to hide President Cyril Ramaphosa's involvement in the cadre deployment saga. According to the Sunday Times, the African National Congress has blamed its inability to make full disclosures of its cadre deployment committee records to a computer that mysteriously crashed. Khutato Madisa is writing that story, has written that story. He now joins us on the line. Khutato, good afternoon. Thank you so much for making time for us. So what does this affidavit say?
Good afternoon, Aldrin. Hope you're well and hope the listeners are well too. So as part of the disclosure, let's say as part of the disclosure, the ANC Secretary General sent an affidavit to the DA, Leon Schreiber, basically saying they tried to locate all these files. So he sort of lists all the steps that they've tried to locate the files, going through the late Deputy Secretary General, Jesse Duarte's files, and speaking to people who would have worked with her as the coordinator of the cadre deployment committee. And then in that affidavit by Mbalula contains a very interesting part where he speaks about how someone who was working for Duarte says that they couldn't locate those files which were in his laptop because that laptop apparently crashed. Looks like it was the only laptop that would have had such documents. But two, the same person, the same fellow whose laptop crashed, last year, I think around June or so, he says to clear up or to free up space on his email, he had to delete some large file. So he mistakenly deleted or when he was deleting, some of those files that got deleted were also related to the Cadre Deployment Committee. So it does look like, well, the ANC claims that, that's why they can't locate those files, for those two reasons.
So those records don't exist anymore, according to the ANC, because the laptop crashed and somebody mysteriously deleted some of the documents because of the space that they were trying to create.
Basically, that's what they're saying. But interestingly, the DA, Leon Schreiber, launched this Promotion of Access to Information Act request, the PIA request, back in 2021, right? And that's when the PIA request was made. And then obviously there was a High Court judgment, I think, same year or a year later. But then all of this drama that relates to the crashing of the laptop and the deleting of files happened just last year. So when there would have been a PIA request already, when there would have been a court case or a court judgment in the High Court, so it's quite interesting that during the period when the ANC was supposed to have been looking for these files got deleted. The laptop crashed. Yeah.
Well, mistakenly deleted. Thank you so much. Khutato Madisa is a reporter there with the Sunday Times. So there you heard it. The laptop crashed, and the person who had access to the laptop erroneously deleted some of the documents. It's time for the news headlines.
Thanks, Aldrin. A very good afternoon with the headlines. Ekurhuleni Metro Police in Gauteng say continuous checks led it to the discovery that 167 officers had criminal records. The DA says it has found evidence that the ANC's Cadre Deployment Committee continued interfering in the appointment of state officials even after the findings of the State Capture Commission against the practice. And Somali President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud says his country will defend itself if Ethiopia goes ahead with a deal to set up a naval base in the breakaway region of Somaliland and possibly recognize the territory as an independent state. Those are your headlines. A full news update at 5.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Well, it's a very heavy backlog on Joburg's M1 South today, down towards Malabongwe Drive. There's a crash on the northbound side just after Malabongwe Drive, and the big volume of traffic heading south is having a look at it. Stuck in a queue from Ravonia. There's a crash on the M1 North at Allendale, so very heavy getting through Buccleuch, and the breakdown just before Rigel on the M1 North means traffic stays heavy from as far back as John Foster Drive in Centurion. A breakdown on Durban's N3 outbound at Paradise Valley. It's heavy one again. Today's your lineup from Spaghetti Junction to get through the roadworks and around that breakdown. Cape Town, a secondary crash now on the N2 outbound before the R300. Friday volumes in the mix there, causing a heavy backlog almost to the N7. Jake Scoville Drive off-ramp. Very slow passing the airport on your way out of town towards Kailicha. Rob Byrne, SAFM Traffic.
This is SAFM Sports with Tuming Kapele.
Righty, in your sports this hour, starting off with football, Orlando Pirates head coach Jose Rivero is confident that his team will show no complacency come tomorrow when they face Mpumalanga Regional League side Crystal Park in a Nedbank Cup last 32 match at Mbombela Stadium in Nelspruit. Crystal Lake are currently second in the Hollywood Bets Safa Ehlanzeni Regional League under Kruger Zone 1 stream, 5 points behind lock leaders Liver Brothers FC with 38 points from 18 matches. And Rivero has admitted that they don't have a lot of information about their opponents, but will bring a professional approach to them.
The information we have about them it's extremely little, it's short. We have to be prepared for many different scenarios. It's totally different than what we faced 1 week ago when you are playing one team that you know very well structured with usually a clear way of playing, but this week is a challenge for us because there's going to be the need of I don't want to even say an adaptation from our side to the opponent. It's more about try to put the game in a rhythm where it's going to be difficult for the opponent to cope. That's the intention, more than thinking what kind of displacement they can develop there against us. Like I said, with all the respect, that's why we are going there with the best of our capacity right now to make sure that we can be a better team this week than 1 week before.
Then just a quick update on that Banyana versus Tanzania game. Banyana currently leading 2-0 with Thembi Kgatlana doubling the lead for South Africa 57 minutes into the match. Elsewhere, Liverpool will play Sparta Prague in the last 16 of the Europa League, while Brighton have been drawn against Roma. West Ham have been paired with Freiburg, and Scottish Premiership leaders Rangers will face Benfica. The first legs of the ties will take place on the 7th of March, with the second legs to be played a week later on the 14th of March. In cricket, Joe Root returned to form when England needed him the most with a masterful century on the first day of the fourth test against India. Short of runs and at the centre of a debate around his approaching to batting, Root played a classical test innings to keep the tourists in the series. In a breathless morning, England were reduced to 112 for 5 by some superb India bowling in highly testing conditions. Akashdeep bowled with the venom for 3 wickets on debut when Ben Stokes was helpless to a delivery when Ravindra got to scuttle along the ground. But Root conquered the conditions, showing patience, determination and supreme skill for his 106 not out. In Olympic news, South Africa's men's hockey team coach Cheslin G says that the upcoming Africa Games in Ghana, which are scheduled from the 8th to the 23rd of March, is a perfect opportunity to fine-tune their skills ahead of the Paris Olympics later this year. South Africa will compete against Ghana, Egypt, Nigeria and Kenya in the round robin, where they are widely expected to clinch the gold medal.
This All Africa Games really helps us with our Olympic preparation, as it gives us more time to be together as a team. Although some of our senior players are unavailable due to club commitments in Europe, we're giving some of our talent squad members an opportunity to play in the All Africa Games, and it's another opportunity for them to stake a claim to be selected for the team for the Olympics.
Well, with that said, it is a wrap from my side for SAFM Sport. I'm Dumin Kapele.
Here, there, and everywhere. SAFM 105.9 FM in Port Elizabeth.
Hi, my name is Kutlwana Masote, your host of Weekend Sundowner Classics every Saturday and Sunday afternoon between the hours of 4 and 7 p.m. exclusively on SAFM. Now, this is where you get your best classical music jams on any radio platform. Join me every Saturday and Sunday afternoon between 4 and 7 p.m. Weekend Sundowner Classics.
I'm Michelle Constant. Join the JSB crew and I every Saturday and Sunday morning between 7 and 10 a.m. We promise to keep you informed and entertained with innovation, culture, cars, travel, life learnings, environment, and of course, your big fat juicy. Small stories, big ideas, massive inspiration. The Jet Set Breakfast on SAFM.
Every person, no matter who you are, what music you're inclined to listen to, and what you do with your weekends. You need a weekend playlist. It's that musical mix of music that accompanies the lazy weekends, whether catching up with friends and family or just taking some time to reflect. Tune in to The Soundtrack of Your Life with me, Ernest Pillay, Saturdays and Sundays, 1 to 4 on SAFM.
Economic news on SAFM. Facts and figures you can count on.
And time for market update with it's Paswan Mpatlele this afternoon. Paswan Mpatlele, Senior Portfolio Manager at Markwe Fund Managers. Paswan, good afternoon. Welcome to the show. Tell us about local and international market developments.
Afternoon, Aldrin, and to all your listeners. Happy Friday, guys. It's looking into the markets. A number of global stock markets, Aldrin, have hit an all-time high, whether you look at some of the indices in the US, Europe, Japan, and this following a time where they are also seeing some of the economies seeing their negative GDPs and high inflation in the US. But this is just telling you that when you look at this, it reflects that there's still high optimism in the medium term, that appetite for AI products and level of productivity it will bring is a positive for the globe. On the other side of the trade, Aldrin, we're having China that seemingly looks like it's bottoming out and it's turning bullish. However, returning of China is a returning of higher copper prices, higher oil prices, which would propel more inflation into the global economy. And this is also supported by what we've seen in the bond yields continue to break into newer highs in the year, where in the bond yields or the dollar will continue to get some support. When we go further and look at it, Andrea, we're seeing the central banks, and this is just giving you why the central banks continue to show that yellow light in terms of keeping interest rates higher, expressed in their minutes earlier on. We've seen it during the week. But when we look at the performances of the day, we're seeing the US stock market has opened higher, Aldrin. Whether you look at the S&P up 0.4 along with the Nasdaq and the Dow in Europe, it has flattened out those gains we saw yesterday. CAC is just only one up 0.6, the DAX 0.2 slightly, and the FTSE is flat. Locally, we've managed to pick up gains and continue on the third day up 0.2, supported by the resource sector higher up 1.7. Industrials were flat and financials were down 0.6, with weakening of the rand is putting pressure on them. When looking into the commodity market, gold holds flat at $2,025 an ounce. I guess that the gold price still exceeds value in those geopolitical tensions. Whether you look at the United States is going to announce some more sanctions on Russia. Platinum is up 0.5 at $902 an ounce. Oil is down 1.1% at $82.45 a barrel. Coming into the rand, it has weakened further. It got close to hit for 19.40, but now it's at 19.33, depreciating by 0.9%. Whether you investors have digested the budget or the dollar remaining strength, it is not necessarily clear what is keeping the rand under pressure. But with commodity prices remaining in these levels, maybe that also contributes. A rand against the euro is at 20.93, rand against the pound 24.52.
Thank you so much. That's Paswan Mpahlele, who's a senior portfolio manager at Markware Fund Managers.
The only talk radio afternoon drive show that makes sense. Beyond the Headline with Aldrin Sampear, right here on SAFM.
Sundays at 2 p.m. S3 is your home for Indian cinema. From February the 18th, sit back and relax as you enjoy a world of colorful entertainment. We guarantee you a memorable experience with the best Bollywood has to offer. Enjoy the holy festival of color with premium Indian cinema movies. Catch all the drama, adventure, comedy and romance on Sundays, 2 p.m. exclusive to S3.
RSP Pekane are happy to be on the summit of Group D. They just want to maintain their unbeaten record. But Babina Nogo are not impressed with their 2-0 loss in Morocco. They are searching for a big revenge. This is the CAF Confederation Cup. Catch the return leg between Sekhukhune United and RSP Pekane this Sunday, 25 February at 9 p.m. Live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Also available on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Hashtag We Love It Here. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Beyond the Headline with Aldrin Sampear on SAFM. Weekdays, 3 to 6 p.m.
16 minutes now before 5 o'clock, and it's time to introduce our co-pilot for this afternoon, DJ Dings, who's joining us in studio. Entertainer, DJ extraordinaire, loves the clubs. Loves the clubs. But when you were a kid, though, did you always know that you one day going to become...
I did.
Really?
I had the light bulb moment at 14.
Really?
Yeah.
So what happened?
I was listening to radio, funnily enough,
Yeah.
and I was at that age where everyone's like, oh, I'm going to be a lawyer and a doctor and a teacher. And I was like, no. And then I remember I was coming home from dance class and I was listening to radio. I remember exactly who it was, what time it was. And I was
Really?
like, yeah, it was Granton in LA at the top 8 at 8.
No way.
Yeah. And
I called
was
in
like,
on a show the other day, just quickly. I called in on a show the other day, and they had Anele on. And like, I remember Grant and Anele.
yeah, literally. And I was like, I can literally even picture exact road I was on. And I turned to my mom and I was like, I know what I want to be. And she was like, okay. And I was like, I'm going to be a DJ. And she was like, all right. I mean, even now she still says to me like, are you going to get a real job? And I'm like, Mom, this is my job.
This job pays.
Yes, 100%. Like I do pretty well for myself. Mom, I'm okay. I don't need a real job.
And the presenting side though, which one do you like more?
I always saw it as, everyone's like, there's a difference between a DJ and a radio presenter.
Yeah.
And nowadays there is. Whereas when I was listening to Grant and Anele, it was one career. It wasn't like the Freshers and the Euphonics. They were all on radio, but they were also DJs. So to me, it came as one career. And the older I've gotten and the more my career has matured, I'm like, okay, I literally have to not necessarily pick one, but I've got to focus on one to get to the other.
Okay.
My passion for radio has always stuck around. I absolutely can talk until I'm blue in the face. So yeah, it's very difficult to choose between the two, but I also love music so much. So it
Talk
makes
radio
it
one day?
Absolutely. Without a doubt. You need a full-time co-host.
Bapati, are you guys listening? Please do listen in between 5 and 6 o'clock. And maybe that is a DJ Things' live audition. So who knows? Something might just happen. Quickly, your topic.
So I was thinking, whenever you go, because I spend my life at music festivals and in clubs, when you go out with your friends, there's always someone in the group, or everyone in the group has a label. So there's always the mom of the group that makes sure everyone is safe and not throwing up in the bathrooms or holding their hair back. There's always the drunkest one, generally. There's always the one that runs off, that just disappears and you can never find them. There's always the one that knows everybody, so you have to stop every 5 minutes and like greet the whole club. So I wanted to know from the listeners, who are you in your friendship group and what are your friends?
Yeah. Who are you in your friendship group?
I was talking to my best friend about this today, and I'm like the typical, hence the name Tinks.
Yeah.
It comes from Tinkerbell.
Yeah.
I'm the typical airy fairy. Like, I just go with the flow. Like, everyone's just like, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, shots, cool. Oh, we going here. Oh, hey. Like, I'm always just like all like completely oblivious to the outside world, except like what's happening in our group. So I guess I'm just like the follower.
You're the follower. To me, who are you in the group?
Now that she mentions it, I actually feel like I know everyone every single time we go everywhere.
Do you know how annoying that is? Are you that friend?
And people are just like, oh my goodness, we can't take you anywhere. Like, seriously?
Yeah.
But besides that, off air, I was telling Aldrin that I'm the friend that hooks my friends up with almost everything. So if they need anything, they like, do me, call. Do me, do you have this person's number? Do me, can you hook us up with these tickets? Do me, can you? I'm that person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to be. So I called my friend earlier on.
Don't you love how you have to phone your friends to get their input to see what your label is?
Hey friend, what role do you think I play in this support group of ours? And he says, you're no longer the drunk one.
You are growing.
100%. My best friend also, she was like, well, we used to. I'm like, okay, we're talking about now. What am I now? Not
exactly,
when I'm 60.
Like, now. So I've become, what did I call it? The Tibetan leader. What's his name again? Kanya, the leader of Tibet. The Dalai Lama. So, yeah, exactly. It's just this weird thing. Like, so you could come and sit next to me like, hey, Aldrin, what do you think about the red light? Like, so tell me, what is it about that red light?
How does that make you feel?
Yep.
Does it trigger something?
So you're the therapist.
I'm but mid-level. Half my friend said, no, you're not Dalai Lama as yet, but you're halfway there. You're halfway there. So that's the conversation that we're having after 5 o'clock. Which one are you in your friendship circle? 0614-104-107. And you can also drop in X at Aldrin Sampear. Some people are the planners. My friend Clement is the one who would plan every single trip to the T. Everything.
Oh, yeah.
10 minutes before 5.
Here, there, and everywhere. SAFM 104.9 FM in Port Shepstone.
Stand by, friends. Stand by, friends. You see, chatterbox over here. The French. 0614-104-107 and your ex at Aldrin Sampear. So earlier on, I was in conversation with Tendai, the Beast, Matuariwa, a former Springboks player, founder and chairman of the Beast Foundation. So recently, the foundation as well as the Alasim Family Office joined forces to launch an empowerment program called Lead a Girl. This initiative targets marginalized young women in South Africa as well as Zimbabwe, providing them with essential educational support, leadership development, mentorship, as well as opportunities for success. And I spoke to Tendai a bit earlier on today, recorded this interview, and I asked him about this initiative and why Lead a Girl.
Yeah, so that moment was, probably when I retired, when I played my last game for the Springboks in 2019, and I thought to myself that, a lot has been given to me. I was able to achieve my ultimate dream through, the generosity of others, people that invested in me. And I wanted to do the same for others. So that is the reason why I started the Peace Foundation. And, and now obviously we're embarking on a very exciting project called Lead Like a Girl, because, we've always, as a foundation, been intentional about, pushing gender equality, about putting up the girl child on a pedestal, and trying to balance things out. And that is the reason why we've embarked on this Lead Like a Girl.
Yeah, and why specifically the girl child?
Yeah, because I think if you can look at, some of the, the ratios or the numbers in terms of the support, that doesn't go towards, young girls, it's quite astounding. And, we were motivated as a foundation, to be proactive, to try, bring a 50-50 representation of both girls and boys in all our projects, because we believe that, girls have always gotten, the short end of the stick. And we want to change that narrative in a big way, in the education space as well.
Looking with the people then, the foundations that you've partnered with, what exactly is it that you're trying to achieve with this initiative? And also tell us what you're offering.
Yeah. So we are trying to create, wholesome leaders of the future. We want to nurture these young girls to be change makers in their own right, to, be at the center of resolving some of the issues we face, on a global scale. So, it's a life-changing opportunity for these young girls. There's 5 core pillars, that are part of the Lead Like a Girl program. The first one is schooling support. The second one is annual leadership camps. The third one is inter-Africa visits. Fourth one is ongoing mentorship, and the last one is a dedicated alumni community that we're building. And obviously the partners that we have worked with, some of them are pipeline partners. They've been on the ground for many years. They're much older than the Peace Foundation, and they've been working with young girls. So what they've been doing is actually plugging us, to find the right, girls that we are after, that can qualify to be a part of this Lead Like a Girl program. And so we are working with the teams on the ground in Zimbabwe, in South Africa, and it's going to grow obviously all across the continent. So we'll be looking to do more work with other partners as well.
And I see that some of the criteria that you're also looking at is, for instance, excellence in sport. But there's also that element around the financial need, because we know how important that particular aspect is when it comes to access to education. We speak a lot about, for instance, in South Africa, that everybody has the right to education, but the hurdle is always the financial burden that comes with affording that education.
Yes, that is correct. We're looking at the economic conditions, there's young, ladies, and yes, that definitely is one of the, the big criteria that we want to consider. And I've actually been doing a lot of work with UNICEF, across the continent. And my role is to be a good role ambassador and promote the access of all children to quality education. And I've just seen that there's just such a wide gap. There's a wide void, and for us to help resolve it, to nullify it, is by increasing the number of opportunities for young people to be able to to have the best education, so that we can set them up to be wholesome leaders of the future and achieve their fullest potential. So it is something that we as a foundation, we're working towards to resolve.
Also, how many girls are you targeting? And with this project, is it a one-year project? How long does this project go on for once the girls have been selected? And also the other question is, why Gauteng, KwaZulu-Natal and Bulawayo as well as Harare?
Yeah, so it's exciting. So the first cohort of girls that we selected is 15, and we're looking at the age of 12, at the beginning of high school, and the scholarship is for full 5 years. We selected girls in those regions to start off. Obviously, as you know, I was born in Zimbabwe, and I came across the border, to South Africa to achieve my dream. So I am a product of, both Zimbabwe and South Africa. So we decided to start there solely, but the vision, is to go all the way across the continent. We are a Pan-African organization, so we believe in empowering all Africans. So we're going to be growing. We're probably going to go to Mozambique. We're going to go to Kenya next. So yeah, we're looking to at this stage. We're looking to increase every single year. We're adding a cohort of girls. So it's 15 to start off with. So I can't really say what the number will be, next year, but it will be more than 10 girls that we're looking at. So every year, depending obviously on our partners. Our funder, Elysium Family Office, that's based in Geneva, we will be seeing exactly, what funds are there and what number of young girls can we add on every single year. But it's definitely going to be expanding and growing, which is usually exciting.
Interesting that you also mentioned Mozambique. Just the other day, we were speaking to Elaine Martinez, who's a senior researcher at the Children's Rights Division of Human Rights, and what they found is that particularly in Mozambique, that you had the highest cohort of young girls, teenagers, falling pregnant, but also being married while underage. And we know what the United Nations says about this and how it deters the girl child from actually focusing on their education and advancing their careers. So tell us more about, outside of the aspect of education, what are the conversations that should be happening in the household? Because the household also plays an important role in how the girl child is perceived.
Yes, no, that is exactly it. We should be changing the narrative, when it comes to the girl child, and, almost seeing the girl, in the same space as the boys, that they're capable, they can, achieve anything they put their mind to, and not, and obviously not limiting them to just doing, domestic work and seeing them, as a lesser, sex, and we should change the narrative in a big way. And I think parents will play a pivotal role, and it's something that should be talked about, that, I know in my own household, we talk about my daughter in the same space as my son. We want them to know that they're capable of anything and everything, that they want to achieve. So I think it's important that that conversation takes place in the household. Yeah.
And what do you say to people who would ask, but why is the Beast Foundation not talking about the boy child and the challenges that the boy child is facing?
Oh, geez, I would say that, we are definitely addressing, the problems that the boy child is facing as well. It's just that we have decided to put a spotlight on the girl child because, of the underprivileged that has been there from the onset. That is why we are, we're intentional about it, but it's not to say that we're forgetting the boy child. That's why I said, I alluded to the fact that in all our projects, we want to, get a 50-50 representation of both boys and girls in our boot camps that we do, in our academic scholarship. It's just that this specific academic scholarship is just geared towards the girl child. So, yeah, we will certainly, be focusing on the boys. But, this one specifically, Lead Like a Girl, is all about the girl child.
And finally, your call to other individuals who are in spaces of influence, spaces where they sit around decision-making tables. What is it that they can do to contribute towards initiatives like these, and even if they come up with their own initiatives?
No, exactly. I believe that we should all use the platform that God has given us to make a difference in others people's lives, in the next generation. So, I'm trying to do that in a big way. So I would say, you don't have to necessarily create your own foundation. You can join hands with other, people that are on the ground in the communities that are trying to make an impact and, make a difference. You can be a volunteer, like, for instance, in our foundation. You can go to our website, peacefoundation.org. We've got, volunteer roles, for people that want to help. And if you want to support as well, you want to be a funder, a donor, you can email us at info@thepeacefoundation.org. And, you can lend your hand, and make a difference as long as you're willing. So it doesn't have to be on a big scale. You can just be your neighbor that you can help,
Tendai, the beast. It's 5 o'clock.
Independent and impartial. This is SAFM News.
Scores of Metro police officers have criminal records and testimony in the Bishop Zondo rape trial. Good day to you. The Ekhululeni Metro Police Department in Gauteng says continuous checks have led to the discovery that 167 officers have criminal records. There are currently over 3,400 officers in the Metro, and after the 2022 audit, 250 officers were found to have committed a crime. Of these, 167 had criminal records, while 83 were awaiting trial. Metro Police spokesperson Kelabogile Tipa.
The recruitment and selection process of the city, it is the competency of the Human Resource Department. They would do the vetting, they would do the selection and recruitment process. Within the EMPD, it should be that, we do regular checks and conduct these verification just to ensure that we are remaining compliant with regards to the law. And of course, we are proud to say that one of the first in the country to actually conduct a verification right through its employees, and have discovered, or rather, the unfortunate.
With regards to the suspension of the officers, Tipa says HR disciplinary processes are unfolding.
After employment, then you'd find that people get up to mischievous behavior and get those criminal records. They have a duty as employees to further disclose to the employer upon acquiring those criminal records. The repercussions are that the HR will then conduct disciplinary procedures against those individuals. Various crimes have been conferred on our members. We are talking ranging from your driving while under the influence, reckless and negligent driving, and again theft being the top three, crime of murder, and that which would be your assault and whatnot.
The DA says it's found evidence that the ANC's Cadre Deployment Committee continued interfering in the appointment of state officials even after the findings of the State Capture Commission against the practice. The party says documents handed to it by the ANC show that President Cyril Ramaphosa was summoned by the Cadre Deployment Committee for failing to consult it before making an appointment. DA MP Leon Schreiber has told a media briefing in Cape Town that this points to serious transgressions.
He is minuted as being fully aware of committee processes, and he apologizes to the committee for using his constitutional powers to make an appointment without getting direction from the Cadre Deployment Committee first. Secondly, the committee chastises a minister for not completing the committee process before advertising senior vacancies on the 20th of January 2020. The minister is admonished and urged to bring vacancies to the committee before advertising them.
An expert witness in the rape trial of Rivers of Living Waters Church founder Bishop Stephen Zondo says many complainants in the matter viewed the church leader as having a godlike status. Investigative forensic psychologist Gerard Labuskakni is testifying at the High Court in Pretoria on the possible psychological explanations for the delay by many victims in reporting the alleged rapes. Zondo is facing multiple charges of rape and attempting to bribe one of the victims to drop charges for offences committed between the 1980s and 2018. Many of the victims were members of his church. Labuskakni's evidence-in-chief is being led by Senior State Prosecutor Advocate Jennifer Cronje.
The fear of the assailant, in this instance, being the accused who's the head of this church, what, in your opinion, would that have an impact at all on fear of that the victims experienced?
Many view him as almost having a godlike status.
All right, but are you referring to people in general or specific people?
Well, in this case, the one that I interviewed, someone that had that.
Then, in this matter,
Somalian President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud says his country will defend itself if Ethiopia goes ahead with a deal to set up a naval base in the breakaway region of Somaliland and possibly recognize the territory as an independent state. A landlocked Ethiopia agreed a memorandum of understanding last month to lease 20 kilometers of coastline in Somaliland, a territory that Somalia says it owns, even though the northern region has enjoyed effective autonomy since 1991. The top story, the Ekululeni Metro Police Department in Gauteng says continuous checks have led to the discovery that 167 officers have criminal records. That's SAFM News. I'm Greg Khus.
In your sports this hour, Banyana beat Tanzania 3-0 in the first leg of the Olympic qualifiers, and CAS dismisses Russia's appeal against IOC ban. More details at 5:30.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Some big traffic out of Joburg today on the way through to Midrand. It's a crash for Allendale Road. All the highways getting into Buccleuch heavy, including the Mike 1 from Greyston, the N3 from Lindbro Park, and the N1 from just after Avonia Road. Some real jam-packing traffic into Buccleuch and then all the way through to Allendale Road. That's only half of it. If you want to get up past Pretoria today, you're going to hit a queue from John Foster Drive up towards the Grasfontein Road before you're out of that. It looks like the breakdown that we had at Rigel's being cleared, but it's a really big backlog that formed up that is going to take a while to normalise, and more traffic in the mix because it's a Friday afternoon as well. Also coming south, the breakdown at Rigel, so from Grasfontein heading towards Joburg, that's quite slow as well. Durban today, 2 breakdowns going north, one at Gateway and another up at Sabaya, so 2 queues to work through on your way through to the airport. The M4 from Slunga and Virginia Airport slow both ways today on that section of the route. First, and a breakdown on the N2 south before you get to Spaghetti Junction, so another afternoon of jam-packed traffic coming through from Inanda Road and Mgeni Road. And then Cape Town, if you want to get out of the central area today on the N2 to Khayelitsha or maybe beyond that for a weekend away, it's a heavy backlog of traffic. There are 2 crash scenes that have happened between Borchard's Quarry and the R300, and the traffic's really pretty thick all the way back to sort of the Pinelands area. Rob Byrne, SAFM Traffic.
Stay safe on the roads. SAFM is with you.
The most important thing for Maritzburg United and Paarl United is the special ticket to the last 16. The team of choice want to demonstrate how experienced they are in the game, but Paarl United are prepared to fight like true soldiers. KwaZulu-Natal takes on Western Cape. This is the Nedbank Cup round of 32. Maritzburg United versus Paarl United on Sunday, 25 February at 2:30 p.m. Live on SABC1 and SABC radio stations. Also available on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Hashtag We Love It Here. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Bonding session. When did you realize that your person at the time was cheating?
Mine, well, I don't know if I can say she cheated on me, but I met this girl. She seemed innocent enough, and I decided, no, let's take it slow. And then we spoke, and then I like you, be my girlfriend. She's like, yes, but let's take our time. And then weeks go by, and weeks go by. And then the other time, when we were supposed to spend the night together, I call her on the day that we made a date. The phone not being answered. I call her, the phone was being answered. I get concerned, and tomorrow I call again, and her sister answers her phone, and she's like, no, he's not here, and gave me some story. But something smelled fishy, because in my mind, why would you answer somebody else's? And from then, she went ghost. Up until I had to go to her workplace. And then when I got there, I saw her, and guess what? She was pregnant.
This is Aldrin Sampear on Beyond the Headline.
Call us on 086 000 2032.
And it's time for the bonding session, 5 minutes or 10 minutes after 5 o'clock. Thank you so much for choosing us this afternoon. We're with you up until 6 o'clock. And my co-host this afternoon, I see people already calling in. DJ thinks you've done things to be. Just a reminder once again of our topic.
So, who are you in your friendship group? Are you the mom? Are you the person that knows everyone, so you stop every 5 minutes and everyone in your group's like, ugh? Or are you the runner that you've got that friend that just missions all the time, you can never find them? Or, yeah, so who are you in your friendship group? Give us a call, let us know. We agreed that I'm just the airy-fairy one, typical. You said you are... the guru slash
Dalai Lama, what? Halfway there. But I was saying to you now off air, I think that I might be becoming the parent,
the dad, the dad of the group.
I think I'm becoming that person. I'm also becoming very responsible. Like, guys, back in the days.
Yes, it's 9 o'clock. We need to go. No.
Back in the days, I used to be that guy like at 2 a.m. When we leave one club, we're like, where are we going to next?
Yeah.
Like, that used to be me. Can't be me anymore. Unfortunately, I'm not that guy anymore. Very responsible.
For me, I think because my sleeping pattern is so warped.
Yeah.
That, like, I only generally come alive when the sun goes down. And, yeah, it's
so
like
a
I'm
vampire.
like 100%. The DJs are vampires. We live at night and sleep during the day.
0614-104-107, and you can also drop me an X at Aldrin Sampear. Our studio line is 086 000 2032. So tell us, who are you in your friendship circle?
Across South Africa, online and on radio. SAFM, let's talk.
So we're going to go to Lucy in Pretoria.
Hello, Lucy.
Hi, LJ.
How's it? Welcome.
Thank you. I'm good. How are you doing?
Good.
Good, Lucy. Can you tell us who you are in your friendship group?
Yes. So I'm the Vulasekela type. I'm a dancer.
Oh, really?
So
yes.
you
not by profession, by group.
So you're the one that always goes to the dance floor and makes everyone dance with you?
Yes, and I make sure, I try to bring some people with me. So by the time I leave the floor, the full floor is full of people dancing,
Can you come to all my gigs?
With pleasure.
So Lucy, tell me. So now you at an event and there's music playing.
Yes.
Then what happens?
I think a lot of the time people are scared to be like the first one on the dance floor. Especially with some nice clubs. Like some people would just dance by their chairs. But even that, sometimes they don't even do it. So I think what happens is when I just feel like a good song, I just stand up and dance where I'm at. And then there'll be another person who then feels comfortable to dance when they see that one person dancing. So I think it's just a comfortability thing. And I think because I'm very extroverted and I'm comfortable with who I am, I sort of start off. And then hopefully people usually get comfortable and follow along,
Because you're a leader.
100%, and I totally agree. I can watch that happen in a club. I watch it all the time. You see heads bopping or shoulders going, and then one person stands up at their table and they dance, and then then their girlfriends are like, okay, should we go to the dance floor? And then they come to the dance floor, and then more people come. 100% agree with you, Lucy.
Exactly. So you just need a catalyst, to start off things. I'm
catalyst.
That person.
Lucy for president.
Lucy the catalyst. Thank you so much. 0614-104-107, and you can also drop us an X at Aldrin Sampear. Tell us who you are in your friendship circle.
First off, I'd like to say shout out to DJ Tings, aka to me, Aya.
It's my best friend.
As someone who knows Aya / DJ Tings very well, I'm the one getting everybody drunk, getting all the shooters down the throats, ordering 100%. More tequilas.
Yeah.
And she can confirm.
100%.
So what does she do? Does she hey, guys, let's go?
I literally have a video. She becomes she lives down in Durban. She becomes she calls herself, she's announced herself as my road manager, and she's always taking videos and photos of me while I'm DJing. And there's one video where I'm jamming and I'm DJing, and it's such a cool photo, and then you hear in the background going, "Do you want a sugar?" And I'm like, what? It is like, that is literally our friendship in a nutshell.
Yeah.
And she's 100% that person. And then, like, everyone turns around and we're like, oh my God, how did we get, why we have so many drinks? And it's her. She's the reason.
0614-104107.
Good afternoon, guys. Interesting topic, you know. I'm a bully in a group. I'm a bully. What says it goes. But in a good way. I don't abuse others. I always influence. And they listen to me. Thank you.
Yeah.
So he's the leader.
He's the leader, I guess.
Follow
I
the
guess.
leader,
And you need to be firm as well as the leader.
Yeah, because it's like, if we're going now.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear any...
But doesn't that intersect with the parent?
I think
like the role of the parent?
I think the leader is more like, everyone just does what the leader says. And whereas the parent just makes sure no one gets hurt.
You would know DJ things. Go with the flow.
Yeah, 100%. Like... My husband is generally the leader or the responsible one, but I wouldn't say he's the dad of the group, but he is the leader. Like, guys, we're going here, tell me if you're going to the bathroom, and then gets really upset if you don't tell him where you are. Yeah, so I get that. I understand 100%.
Very responsible. 0614-104107.
Afternoon, Aldrin and the team. Mine is a sad one. I am the victim of the borrowing. Everyone who's broke comes to me, calling us if there's an emergency. I help honestly. They say tomorrow you'll get it back. I said, okay, preferably do it in your wallet. Even now, they're gone. I don't know whether I've got a tag to say, come borrow me. I don't know. But this is getting too much.
Oh, you're the bank, you're the ATM of the
check
group.
Those people, they are affording, or okay, it's month end, they should be having something to repay. But they're quiet. You keep on pushing them. Say, I'll come back to you, I'll give you money.
Yeah.
So, it's sad, eh?
That is a dangerous game.
Very.
Hi, Aldrin. Good afternoon to you and your co-host. Referring to the discussion you had earlier on about DJing, reminds me of a story that did the rounds many years ago about John Lennon, I think it was, who went to visit his mother. She lambasted him for playing around in a band and told him to get a decent job.
Yeah.
The next time he visited his mother, he arrived in a Rolls Royce, driven by a chauffeur. Thanks, Tim.
So I need to rock up to my mom's house in a Rolls Royce, and then she's going to tell me not to get a real job.
The pressure is on. Are you a Rolling Stone?
No, but hopefully, I wouldn't go for a Rolls Royce, but I'll get there.
You'll get there. Okay. 0614-104107. And you can also drop me an X at Aldrin Sampear. So I have a little poll that I'm running there on X. Which friend are you in your circle of friends?
Yeah.
And the options that I have there, the organizer, the drunk, the parent, or other, please specify rather. And Harrison, actually also, DJ, singer, says, other. I am the conversation starter. I throw the spanner and play devil's advocate in most conversations. I'm also the one who comes up with songs for toast and shots. I think I'm also this guy, the conversations. Yeah. But my problem is that then I become too deep. That's my issue.
DMCs are a real thing.
Like I become like, and then my friends were like, oh my God, there's the radio voice.
Your profession is coming out.
It's the radio voice.
Okay, we have another caller, Bongani from Durban. You are the realistic one. Bongani, how are you doing?
Hi, how are you guys?
Good, thanks, and you?
Good. We have, a group of 4 friends. All of us have been friends since lower primary, since grade R or something. And amongst all of us, I'm the realistic one. In the sense that if you're saying we're going out, we're going somewhere and there are no second locations. After we are done, we must go back home.
Wow.
So
and they always refer to me as a party pooper or something.
I was about to say, are you the boring one?
And no.
I don't think that the boring friend would agree that I'm the boring friend.
No. The thing is, you guys have never met my wife.
Okay.
And all of them are scared of my wife. So I don't want to come home with my bags or on the lawn, everything. But realistically speaking, I always put them back to order.
Mm.
Yeah, because you'll find that sometimes amongst us friends, we do crazy things and careless things sometimes, which we will later regret.
Yes.
So I do have a party animal in me, but at the same time,
you're responsible.
I am responsible.
Okay, well that's a nice one. That's a different one. We haven't had that one.
So I have this vision of, so DJ Things is playing, Bongani is there with his friends, Bongani is dancing, but every now and then like look around, like be vigilant.
Time to go home.
Be realistic. Thank you so much, Bongani. Let's take some of your voice notes on 0614 104 107.
Call us on 086 000 2032.
Mzansi Africa.
Siyalobuga.
Siyabulela nangomso.
Thank you for witnessing the Africa Cup of Nations Cote d'Ivoire 2023 in your language of choice on SABC radio stations, digital platforms, and SABC TV channels.
Big ups to McDonald's for being on board.
Your magnificent and heartwarming support gave millions of South Africans a spectacular and exhilarating experience during AFCON.
Asonye. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Let's have the conversation. WhatsApp voice notes on 0614 104 107.
Your voice notes on 0614 104 107. I want to hear from the guys who cook as well. Once upon a time, by the way, I used to be the person who cooks.
Oh, no, I don't cook.
Yeah, I used to be the person never do the dishes.
That's what dishwashers are for.
Yeah, exactly. I've never been the dishwasher guy. But somebody is saying now, Sunotando is saying that the meat specialist, because you know within the group of friends that there's this one person who's really good.
The braai master.
Yes. And you must always respect the braai master. Do not ask too many questions.
Just leave him. Just let them, he, she, they can do their job. Just don't ask. I agree.
Don't ask. And you will get a miracle on your plate.
100%.
Love the braai masters out there and the cooks out there who make sure that when we go out, if we had an Airbnb, make sure that there's a warm meal, because sometimes we don't like taking takeaways. We don't like having takeaways, and there's somebody who's prepared to actually make sure that they set up a table.
Yeah, that's
that things happen. Yeah.
100%. I know a few people like that. I'm just not that person.
Yeah.
Don't put me in the kitchen. I can cook, and I can bake really well, but I don't enjoy it.
Really?
Yeah, it's like I find it to be a chore.
It is. I think it is a
like
chore.
It's I have to do it or I don't survive.
Yeah. Let's take your voice notes.
Hello, Aldrin and your guests.
Hello.
In my group.
Hi.
I'm the Jesus.
Oh, what does that mean?
I'm the savior.
Wow.
People get into trouble.
Oh.
Wherever I will be, I will drive to them.
Okay.
I'll have to go pick them up.
Oh.
So he's the
God,
rescuer.
in an accident, yes. I'll be there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Someone doesn't want to pay, I'll be there. Yeah.
What about if he's also technically the bail person? Like if someone needs bail, do you think I could phone him?
Yeah. Shouldn't be promoting those type of things here. Remember to never break the law. If you do not break the law, you will not end up in jail, and there would be no need to call somebody
100%
to come and bail you out. Be responsible. Is it Bongani that we spoke to earlier on?
Yes.
Get a Bongani in your friendship. Get a Bongani in your friendship circle. 0614 104 107.
Hi guys. This is Tabiso here in Mpumalanga. My friendship group, I'm one of those guys, mastermind. I'm always the one who comes out with ideas in terms of where can we get the next glass of beer. And also I can also be Dr. Phil. Those with problems, they always come to me for advice. It comes naturally in such a way that I even get shocked. Was I the one really advising my friend? Yo, guys, this life.
So he's the groove expert.
Nice show.
Like he's the planner.
Is the planner like the organizer? Is
Yeah.
it the same thing?
Yeah, planning and organizing is the same thing.
It's the same thing. So that voice note that came through a bit earlier on as well, I was saying that, I was just thinking about it now, that unfortunately in my friendship circle, I'm not the one that you can call in a case of an emergency. Because I don't like picking up my phone.
No, I'm exactly the same.
Like-
My family and friends know I put my phone on flight mode at night.
Yeah.
Because you should know, with social media, your phone goes constantly. And shout out to Aya for sending me TikToks at 2 o'clock in the morning. So my phone goes constantly. So I put my phone on flight mode. My family and friends know that if there's an emergency, don't phone me.
Yeah.
Phone my husband.
I'm also knowing that do not call Aldrin because he's not
I'm not going to be your rescuer.
Unfortunately. I mean, all need to understand, guys, what our strengths and our weaknesses are. And it's not that I don't love people. I really do love
100%
people.
agree. We
But
love you,
unfortunately-
but just don't phone us in those situations.
I love you so much to tell you that don't call me. Don't rely on me in case of an emergency because unfortunately I may not be the one who answers the phone.
Hello, hello, hello. Hey guys, my name is Dando from Catherine. I'm the type of friend who just disappears from the group.
Ooh.
Whenever I had 3 or more side I used to go to the bathroom and call my boyfriend, baby, please come and fetch me now. I miss you. And I send him a location. But the good thing about me is that whenever I'm not around, my friends don't have to worry because they already know where I am. Obviously, she called their boyfriend and she came to fetch it. Now they know.
No,
That
but
whenever
you
I'm
must
not
tell
around,
I was
them.
about to say exactly the
my
same
boyfriend
thing.
just came to fetch me.
Ah,
That's
no.
it.
No, I would
When
like.
I'm drunk. I need my boyfriend here right now.
Tell
That's
them
how I
before
am.
you go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Tell your friends.
Good
'Cause
guys,
it
it's
can-
their time.
It can be really scary if you lose
Yeah.
a friend. Like
Yeah.
it happened to me at H2O. So I opened up for the last H2O that happened in September, and I went to the bathroom with a friend of mine, and my husband had gone to get drinks, and I turned to another friend of ours, and I was like, "I'm going to the bathroom. We'll be back now," and it took us about 40 minutes to go to the bathroom because of the lines and stuff.
Yeah.
My husband panicked so badly because he was like, it's been 40 minutes. It doesn't take you 40 minutes to go to the bathroom. And you can put your friends give your friends a hectic heart attack if you do that.
Yeah, so please do tell your friends. Don't assume that they know that you are with your other person. But here's the thing about it though, is that sometimes things can go horribly wrong.
100%. So I don't mind people that mission and come
Yeah.
back. So
Yeah.
we see you every 20, 30 minutes. That's cool.
Oh, you call it mission.
Yeah, it's you go on a mission. But that's all fair and well, cool. But if you're gonna leave where we are, like you leave the Joel or the groove, let us know. Like she's obviously goes to the bathroom and then just
calls the boyfriend. The
and then
boyfriend comes,
yeah.
picks her up, and then she leaves.
Oh no,
No.
that would not go down in our friendship
Yeah,
group.
exactly. I would actually have to sit you down. Gotta speak to the Dalai Lama.
Hi, I'm with the Aldrin and the team. Pugs in my
Oh,
face.
Pugs, how's it?
I mean, I'm the one who's always getting everybody drunk. I'm always getting everybody drunk, and tomorrow I'll be leaving to tell the stories on what happened over the night. Thank you.
Thank you, Pugs.
Afternoon, Aldrin. This is Magdalene from Bloom. I'm not in a circle of friends. I'm always alone in my car or with my husband sometimes.
Well, your husband's your friend.
I'm a jack
my
of all
bestie.
trades. I read a lot. I search a lot.
Bookworm.
I practice a lot. Then I help out with whatever information that I have.
Encyclopedia.
I'll help you. That's why I say I'm a jack of all trades. Magdalene from Blue. Thank you.
I don't like the idea of being alone. Do you connect? Do you relate?
I feel like I've become that person. Like, I like right now while you guys are talking about when you go to the lines for your friends, wait for your friends.
Yeah.
I haven't gone out in like, I don't remember. Okay, maybe I went out once last year, but right now, Kari, I'm becoming a loner.
Your husband is your best friend.
Yeah, he's always at work.
Well, that's why you don't go out, because you don't want to go out without your husband.
Yeah, you want your bestie next to you.
You see, she knows.
It's 5:30. It's time for the news headlines. We'll continue to take your calls after these.
Look now at the headlines. A man and a woman have been arrested in Khayelitsha on the Cape Flats following a recent house robbery and a kidnapping 10 days later in the nearby Strand. The Ekhululeni Metro Police Department in Gauteng says checks have led to the discovery that 167 officers have criminal records. And the US President Joe Biden has announced sweeping new sanctions against Russia just ahead of the 2-year anniversary of Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. That's SAFM News. I'll have the full update at 6 o'clock.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
And traffic across Gauteng largely being held up into incidents this afternoon. Apart from that, it's not a bad run. Coming out of Pretoria, breakdown at Rigel, so heavy from Gausfontein. Some fairly sluggish traffic after an earlier breakdown as well near Rigel on the northbound from Boerta Avenue through towards Atterbury Road. Just a lot of Friday backlogging through there. Crash on the M1 North at Allendale. The Mike 1 starts the queue from Grayston Drive as you line up out of Joburg into Midrand. The usual breakdown on the N3 South at Van Buren, so that's heavy from Edenvale. And a crash just south of Crown Interchange. The Mike 1 back from Parktown, Houghton Drive, all the way through the double-decker and into that Boysons area. Also, there's a breakdown just after Benoni out by Pitfontein if you're on your way to Kingsway and Daveyton near Twatwa. So that's quite slow. Leaving Durban up to Pietermaritzburg, a collision scene between Camperdown and Amlas Road. There's quite a backlog there on the N3 West. And 2 breakdowns, one on the N2 South at Spaghetti Junction. That stays heavy from Inanda Road. And a breakdown before Gateway on the N2 going north. So big backlogs from Kamashu. And if you're trying to get out of Cape Town today, it's a busy one on the N2. 2 crash scenes before the R300. That's heavy from Langa. More traffic jamming through Somerset West. And you're going to sit in some traffic through the central Krabo area, both sides of that section of the N2. Rob Byrne, SAFM Traffic.
This is SAFM Sports with Tuming Kapele.
Hour, starting off with football. Banyana beat Tanzania 2-0 in the first leg of the third round of the Olympic qualifiers this afternoon. Goals from Jermaine Seoposengwe, Tembi Kgatlana and Hilda Magaya helped South Africa take a step closer to advancing to the last round. The return leg will be at Mbombela Stadium next Tuesday. So everyone must go and support Banyana. Only 2 nations from Africa will compete at the games in Paris. Meanwhile, Nedbank Cup continues this evening. Carling knockout champions Stellenbosch FC will be at home to Motsepe Foundation's Championships Pretoria Calais. The second game will feature Amazulu at home to TS Galaxy and Mpumalanga Stadium. Then, Nedbank Cup defending champions Orlando Pirates will be involved in a David versus Goliath game. Tomorrow, the Sea Robbers visit 3rd Division side Crystal Lake of Mpumalanga, and Kaizer Chiefs will welcome Milford FC from MFC. Meanwhile, Manchester United striker Rasmus Højlund is expected to be sidelined for 2 to 3 weeks with a muscle injury, a big blow for the team's quest for a top 4 finish. The recovery time means that not only will the 21-year-old miss Saturday's league game against Fulham, but also United's FA Cup 5th round tie at Nottingham Forest on Wednesday and the Manchester Derby at Etihad on the 3rd of March. In Olympic news, Russia's appeal against the International Olympic Committee's decision to suspend its membership has been dismissed by the Court of Arbitration. The IOC suspended the Russian Olympic Committee with immediate effect in October for a breach of Olympic Charter. The suspension by the IOC means that the ROC is no longer entitled to operate as a National Olympic Committee. Then in swimming, President of the Swimming South Africa, Alan Fritz, has officially stated his intention to engage with Sports Minister Zizi Godwa for crucial financial support to aid the Federation in its preparations for the Olympic Games. Fritz emphasized the necessity of approximately 6 million rand in funding to procure 2 new generators essential for heating the pool at a centralized venue where elite swimmers will train for the impending Olympics set for July and August in Paris. In the meantime, he's urged South Africans to continue supporting Team SA.
Swimming needs the country, and the country needs swimming to fire on all cylinders, so to speak. And once we have that united nation, the rugby team has showed us what can be achieved.
But that's it. It is a wrap from my side for SAFM Sport. I'm Duming Khapele. Mulimugyo.
SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide.
The top flight outfits are adamant that they are the great masters of the game, but the junior teams refuse to shake and break. The moments of upset are back again in the battle of 32 teams. This is the Cup of Dreams, the Nedbank Cup. Experience it live on SABC TV channels and SABC radio stations. Also available on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. # We Love It Here. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Economic news on SAFM. Facts and figures you can count on.
And it's time for a MoneyWeb market update with Jimmy Moyaha. Jimmy, before you tell us about the markets, I want to know, which friend are you in the group of friends?
It depends, Aldrin. Good afternoon, and good afternoon to me and to the listeners. Typically, in the group chat, I'm the friend that doesn't respond. I read everything, I acknowledge everything, and I don't respond. But sometimes with what we do and the commitments we have to the shows and all of that, I also tend to become the friend that doesn't always show up for events. Work schedules get so busy, and we've got such erratic schedules as well with our shows, that more often than not, they're like, guys, we're meeting up at this time for lunch, and then I can't make it. So I try to be a good friend, but sometimes it's very difficult to.
You do you choose work over friends? Is that what you're telling us?
It's not a choice, right? So I can't. It's not like we're given a choice. I mean, I'll refer to an example that we had just this week. I couldn't do the crossing with you on Wednesday on Budget Day because I had to take a conversation with the Director General of National Treasury. So I wanted to chat to you, obviously, but I couldn't. So sometimes it's beyond our control.
So you choose work over friends. Okay, it's fine,
work
Jimmy.
chooses for me.
Work chooses for you. Tell us about the markets and what's been happening.
And exactly that. I mean, I thought I'd have a quiet Friday. Apparently not. Markets are in turmoil once again, with the rand finishing the week even weaker than we thought it would. It's at 19 rand 31 at the moment against the dollar, weakening almost a full percent there against the pound. It's at 24.48 or 24.50-ish, about a percent weaker there as well. It's almost at 21 rand against the euro, weakening 0.75% there as well. It even weakened against the Australian dollar at 12 rand 67 there, weakening 0.75% there. So the currency not finishing the week on any strong footing at all. While we're looking at currencies, let's have a quick look at Bitcoin. That's come off a bit at $50,950 odd dollars a coin there. Ethereum is at $2,925. They've both weakened about a percent. In the case of Ethereum, it's actually almost 2%. The gold price holding steady at $2,027 an ounce. Brent crude weakening to $82 a barrel. Very nice to see that happen on a Friday. Platinum and palladium prices still holding above $900. I think that's quite important there for our mining counters and our exports in that respect. If we look at some of the equity movements throughout the day, Sydney was up. They were up about 0.4% on the day. Tokyo was up about 2% for the day. France was up 0.7%, Germany up 0.3%, and London 0.2%. In New York, the Nasdaq is up 0.1%, the S&P 500 is up 0.3%, and our local markets finished in the green, with resources leading the charge there, up 1.4% on the day, but financials were down 0.7% and industrials were basically flat. The top 40 closed the day out 0.2% in the green. Some of the market movements throughout the day were quite interesting. A lot of the share price movements were driven by announcements that we got from the respective stocks. So we got SENS announcements from the likes of Dis-Chem, Mustec put out a SENS announcement, City Lodge put out an announcement, and those were some of the big movements throughout the day. So Pick n Pay was up about 7% for the day. Bytes was up about 4%. Anglo Gold Ashanti, which also put out their trading statement, was up about 3.6% on the day. Dis-Chem up 3.5% on the day. But on the downside, some of the guys that didn't have such a good day, Mustec, as I mentioned, down about 8.7%. City Lodge down about 7.7%, despite reporting that they had increased their revenues there. So something in that SENS statement that the market didn't particularly like there. So overall, it looks as though the market counters, or at least the shares, some of them had really good days off of their announcements and some not so good days. But we'll dig into these stories next week. I think there's a couple that I would want to follow up on in terms of their financial numbers, particularly the likes of Anglo Gold Ashanti that would give out forecasts around gold in the future, potentially. As well as City Lodge. I've been keeping an eye on that stock for quite some time. But we'll leave it at that for now. The market's seemingly closing out in a mixed territory over the weekend. And with that, I'll cross back to you, Aldrin. I'll be back next week, Monday, hopefully with better news than what we had this week. And hopefully with not such dramatic news as we got from the budget speech.
And also with a report back of how you made sure that you make time for your friends.
Being a better friend. That's my goal for the weekend.
Exactly. And we need a report back on Monday that this is what I did with my friends. I made time for them.
All right,
Jimmy,
do you remember those days?
Yes. 50-word essay. I'm not asking for a lot. Have a beautiful weekend. Thank you so much. Jimmy Moyahai is back again on Monday. We're taking your calls on 086 000 2032, your voice notes on 0614 104 107, and you can also drop me an X at Aldrin Sampear. Which type of friend are you in that friendship group? What is it that you do? What are you known for? And when you're not around, what do they miss you for? You know that type of friend, the ones we're speaking about it now off air, the ones who want to buy expensive things at the restaurant.
And then disappear when the bill comes.
And then disappear. You know, my friends once said that I was that person. Yeah. So
why would you do that to your friends?
I didn't know that I was that person.
Did they have to have like a full-blown intervention with you?
And this happened on the radio. It happened on the radio because they were speaking about friends and people that you invite or you go out for dinners and so forth, and the friend who doesn't pay or they forgot their
wallet
card. They don't have money right now on them. And then I realized, oh my God, you guys are speaking about me, right? Like, yeah.
They threw you under that bus.
On air. On air.
I would.
The friends that I have.
Yeah, I was about to say.
The friends that I have.
Wow.
But I've changed my ways.
I was about to say, to be fair, at least they were honest with you.
Yeah, no, I've changed my ways. Make sure that I got my money. Make sure that that my phone has my card so that I can just tap.
Yeah, well, you see, I did that. I love you, babe, but I did that the other day. I tapped with my phone, and my husband was like, "Oh, what was that?" And I'm like, "Are you joking?" And he was like, "No, how did you do that?" I'm like, "What?"
No ways.
I promise he had no idea it was a thing.
No ways.
I promise you. He's like, "No, you can't do that. People are going to steal your identity." I'm like, "Well, you need my face to do it. What are you doing?" He was shook.
Did you help him though?
No, I was like, I did. If you don't want to do it, he won't even use internet banking. Are you joking?
Jeez, does he still have a checkbook?
He still goes into the bank.
Oof.
Should we take some calls?
Yeah, let's take some calls. 086 000 2032 and voice notes on 0614 104 107.
We've got
across South Africa, online and on radio. SAFM, let's talk.
We've got Patrick from...
It's Pietermaritzburg.
I was about to say Pietermaritzburg. I was just checking you knew. The introvert. He doesn't like bullies who pressure people on the dance floor. Please explain what you mean, Patrick.
I'll explain what I mean, Tanya. Yes, you know, if you're an introvert, the sort of occasion where people are leaping around on the dance floor, where people try to press, come on, they say, get up, come on, join us. Those sort of events, as introverts, we find them absolutely draining. And we very soon need to get home just to be quiet, just to be on our own, just to re-energize re-energize ourselves.
I hear you. To be fair, I
In the
drive
aha
home.
moment.
Yeah, I drive home from my gigs in dead silence.
Yeah.
Extroverts are energized by those sorts of events, and introverts simply are not. And extroverts are valued in society. Extroverts are heard.
Yeah.
And introverts are regarded as sort of wet blankets and shy. And honestly, we are not, and we're not antisocial.
I think we because I'm a complete introvert, and people are like, oh, what? You're a DJ?
Really?
Yeah. I love my house.
Yeah.
Like, it's too peoply outside. And everyone's like, but you're a DJ. And I'm like, but I have my little box and people can't come into my box. So I totally get what you're saying, Patrick. Like, social gatherings can be a lot for an introvert. Like, I literally, especially for my gigs, when you've got music constantly in your ear, I'll drive home from my gigs in dead silence.
Mm-hmm.
And if I have someone in the car, I'm like, shh, don't talk to me. Please. Don't talk to me.
It's my aha
it's my
moment. Thank you so much for the call there, Patrick from Pietermaritzburg.
Thank you very much.
Let's go to Jim joining us from Gqeberha.
He
Good
is
evening.
the cook.
Hi. 1961.
Oof.
I found myself in Earl's Court in London looking for accommodation. And there were 3 South Africans near me also looking for accommodation on the Overseas Visitors Club notice board. Anyway, we teamed up together, got a flat, and the first morning I wake up to one hell of a smell coming out of the kitchen. The milk was boiling over.
Oh, no.
There was a boiled egg that had broken in the pot, and that was boiling over, and the toast was burning. I went into the kitchen, and I found one of the guys there wondering what the hell to do next. And I said to the fellas, look, guys, from here on, I'll do the cooking, and you fellas can do the washing up. I went and bought a book on world cookery at Harrods, and from then on, that was now 45, 60 years ago.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Do you still have the book?
And I'm still doing the cooking.
Do you
now
still
my
have
wife
the book?
Is not so well, so hell, now I do the cooking full time. Yeah, at home.
Do you still have the book from Harrods?
I do.
That's so
yeah.
cool.
Wow.
I love that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
That's
there you
incredible.
go.
What's your favorite thing to cook, Jim?
Moussaka.
What is that?
Funny enough. Eh?
What is that?
It's brinjals, potatoes, and mince with a custard cream on top in the oven.
Like
sweet custard.
No. Milk and milk, cheese, and
like a cheese
what else did
sauce.
I put in it? Yeah, cheese sauce.
Oh, okay.
We were very
So-
confused and we were like, custard and brinjals?
Is this the YoTV snack attack? Thank you so
Do
much.
you remember that?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, we're old.
Actually, you kind of look like Kylie, hey?
All I wanted in life was to be. My mum always said to me, "You should have been a KTV presenter."
Yeah,
That's
think
all
you
I
would've-
wanted was a
you'd have-
KTV or.
I think you can still do it.
I think I'm a bit old now.
Well, you don't look old.
I know. I got told I would look 21 the other
Exactly.
day. I was like, bro.
You really do it again. I promise you could do it on KTV. Is KTV
no,
still around?
KTV's not around.
Okay, KTV's not around anymore. All right, let's take your voice notes.
Oh my word, this topic. I'm actually the friend who wants to be friends with Aldrin.
Oh.
Hey
friend.
girl, you got a new friend.
I am like the mom of the friendship group. I am the one who makes sure everyone is still here, counting all my friends, making sure we're still here.
All of your
making
handbags.
sure that everyone has what they need if we're going out. I'm just the mom of the group, the planner. Yeah.
Hello, friend.
You just got yourself a new friend.
Hello, friend.
Yeah, Mr. Aldrin and the DJ.
Yes.
Hey.
Hey, yeah, no. Yeah, you guys are having a very fun topic. Yeah, the topic is very fun. Yeah, I mean, hey, Nzotini, Nkosi yami. I am the photographer in the group.
Okay.
I am the
It's me.
organizer.
I do that. No,
I am
not organizing.
The ones who can't. As me, I'm all in one.
Oh.
All in one. Yeah,
So he's
I'm
the
all in
everything.
one.
Yeah. He's the. Yeah. I am the photographer. I'm that guy. Yeah.
You know-
I make them pose like
Yeah,
breathe
like
in, like
suck in
do
your
the-
stomach,
yeah,
lift
yeah,
your chin.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I get it.
Yeah, look at the light.
Yes. Show your face, your features slightly left, slightly right. No, you see, I love photos.
Yeah.
But especially for someone that needs them for social media, I'm terrible at taking. Like, I can take good photos, but to get to the point of actually taking photos.
Oh my! You are me.
Like, I love photos. That's why I love having Aya around.
Last night I was looking through some of my pictures that I took when we were in Cape Town. And like, what pose is this? What was I doing?
No, you're always like, yeah, I know. I just need someone to follow me around all the time to take videos and photos. It's great. Because especially for social media, with us being in an industry where social media is such a big part of our lives, we need that content.
Yeah,
and to, like, there's days where I sit and I'm like, what do I post? And then and I put way too much thought into my posts, way too much thought. Songs and like I literally.
And the caption?
Yeah, 100%. Sometimes you can tell when I'm being lazy because I just use emojis. But I literally, have you heard Bob Marley's grandson's new track?
Mm-mm.
So it's like I'm obsessed with it, and I used the lyrics as my caption the other day. And a friend of ours contacted my husband, and he phoned him, and he's like, "Is Tingus okay?" My husband was like, yeah, why? He's like, I don't know, her post is very depro. Meanwhile, like, I was just using song lyrics because I'm like obsessed with the song. And I was like, and then I read the lyrics and I was like, oh my
Can we get the name of the song?
Yes, I've got
Can we get the name of the song and maybe play out with that song?
Yes.
Is it clean for radio?
I think so. But also I don't.
No. No.
I can't honestly, no, 100%. I can't honestly say that I've listened to that extent where I'm not aware of the swearing, so I don't know. But, But it's by YG Marley. It's great.
Let's check maybe if the lyrics, if there's a radio version.
Yeah, 100%.
if there's a radio version. Look who's on the line.
Okay, let's do Annan from Centurion, the wise one. Ooh, this sounds like someone
That's my friend. That's definitely my friend. Calling in as anonymous. Definitely him.
Oh, here I am calling you anon.
We know, because we always call him the wise one. He is the wise one in the group.
How would you just guess something like that?
Let's just say that I'm telepathic, I got the gift.
And I just renamed you Anon, thinking your name was Anon, not Anonymous.
It's actually Anonymous. Anonymous, hello.
How you doing?
How are you?
We good, Anonymous. How are you doing?
I'm strong. I wanted to just correct certain misrepresentation of truth.
Oh. Why am I being attacked? You see, this is what they do.
You're being read.
On national radio.
I know. Your friends love you.
Okay.
Yeah, I want the country to know the truth. I'm about the truth.
All right. Let's go.
The word I used was visionary. I'm not sure when the Dalai Lama...
No, but friend, I said half. And we agreed on this.
You can't move from being that guy who at 2 a.m. says...
But I've changed.
The Dalai Lama.
No,
but I've changed.
He's moved up in the world. He doesn't stay out until 4 a.m. anymore.
And it shocks them every time. It shocks them every time. It's been years now.
You've not moved to being the father, you've moved to being the grandfather.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he does not want to do anything else anymore.
Do you not want to Joel anymore?
Yeah, no. Actually, I'm not that guy anymore. Look, guys, I've changed.
Too much change.
You're friends.
I've lived.
No, you know what,
I've
really lived. I'm okay now. I don't feel like going out that much anymore.
No, you know what? We at that age where we'd rather go out for dinner, have a few drinks, and be in bed by 10 p.m.
Yes, and I love that.
I don't know why I said we. Because I'm not
because
like
we're
that.
The same. No, because no. Okay, well, you're a vampire. You're a vampire.
100%. You have to, but also to be fair, it's the getting me out. Once I'm out, I'm fine. Then I'll be out until 4, 5, 6, whatever.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. But I have to be in the mood, and you have to get me out first.
Yeah.
It's that point. Like, if I'm at home on my couch in my pajamas, it's over.
I love that space.
I know, me too.
I love that space. Sorry, Anonymous. I'm a changed.
Get him out more,
I'm a changed man.
Okay, we'll try convince him to come out with you this weekend. Okay.
I can't do. I told him that he must come and visit me. Right, friend?
I know you did.
At home.
Exactly.
No. Go to dinner with your friends.
See you tomorrow.
You literally just gave.
See you tomorrow at my house. Let's go to Mbali.
Mbali from Boksburg, you are the ringleader.
Yes, good afternoon. How are you?
Good, thanks, and you?
No, I'm okay. No, you guys are having such a fun topic. I'm the extrovert.
Yeah.
I'm the ringleader. So everything revolves around me. And we're a group of ladies.
Okay.
So there's like about 14 of us.
1-4.
Wow.
Wait, Mbali. Wait.
You've got 14 friends.
1-4.
Like 1-4. Like literally, I was from the Metro FM cruise with Somizi, where I had to book cabins for all 14 of us. So it's either friends that I was with in high school, coming together with friends that I met at work.
Every time you go out?
So we actually made a group of all those people from the different spaces in my life, like high school or work. So they now all friends, even though I'm actually at the center of the friendship. They all know me at different stages in my life. So I'm the extrovert, and as a result, I'm close to everyone. As a result, I can get away with anything that I say. No one will take it personal because basically I'm their friend.
Because Mbali, I'm sure Mbali does this. Uguti Nazana because of me. You guys know each other because of me.
Exactly. So whether I want to discipline, whether I want to say what's on my mind, I can say it, even though another person can't do the same thing because they're not really that close. So when a person wants to discipline another person, they will come to me and say, "Can you talk to your friend?
Oh, okay.
We need that person."
And you are able to disciplinarian. You're able to say, "Hela, change your ways."
Exactly. So I'm at the center of everything, as well as the talkative one and the loud one as well in the group.
Evidently. Thank you so much, Mbali. Mbali there from Boksburg. Let's quickly take 2 voice notes before we say dotsins.
Hey BTH team, that's Dineo from Bedford View. I'm that friend that likes to bring breaking news. So if one friend is telling me, hey, did you hear? I beg that friend to say, please don't tell others. Let it come through me. I enjoy bringing breaking news. Baka!
Hello everyone. Yeah. Me in my group, I'm an advocate. And when they got problem, they will call me for advice. Even if, in the house, maybe they did something wrong. First, they will consult me. After that, I will go to be their lawyer there. So that to support their statement, what went wrong, but I was not there. Yeah, I'm an advocate in my friend group.
Good afternoon, Aldrin and listeners. Aldrin Sampear, SAFM listeners. Acknowledge me. I am the tribal chief. I am the head of the table. I am the honored one in the bloodline. That's just how I roll, man. I'm the shot caller. I see my shot, I call it. I make sure that everybody eats. I'm that guy who takes care of everyone. I am your tribal chief. I am their tribal chief. Acknowledge me.
#SAFMBTH.
We've come to the end of our voyage. Thank you so much for choosing Flight SAFM BTH 326 with me, Aldrin Sampear, and my co-pilot, DJ Dings. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. It was so much fun.
It was fun.
How was my live interview?
The live audition.
No, that one.
The live audition.
Yeah.
The live audition really worked. I think it worked. The listener engagement was great. So now we just wait for the bosses.
Yes. Okay, cool. Bosses, psst, when you're ready.
What are you doing this weekend?
I have a gig tonight and tomorrow. So I'm out at Tiger's Milk Irene tonight. I'm at Tiger's Milk Northcliffe tomorrow. Then next week I'm out at the beach in Rivonia for an ultra pre-warm-up party.
Mm-hmm.
And then the week after that I've got Gin Jungle and Street Bar. Named
Busy,
Desire.
hey?
Yeah, very. And then
Booked
in
and
between that, I've got corporates and a private function. And so, yeah.
Booked and busy.
100%.
Okay.
So, yeah.
There
All
we
right,
go.
Guys, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. The song we're going to leave you with is one of my favorites. It's These Streets by Mikasa. And then the parting shot. Today, we leave you with the words of Dean Koontz, who once said, never leave a friend behind. Friends are all we have to get us through this life, and they are the only things from this world that we could hope to see in the next. 100% agree with that. Credits to Njozi.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
Let's take a knee for the lives lost at Tenyoveni Tavern. Let's take a knee for the lives lost on our roads and those whose life is taken by the hands of our fellow countrymen. These guns, these knives, they're just destroying lives. We thank you, SAFM, for the music that restores our soul, that gives us joy and hope for our country. We thank you, Aldrin, our ever so humble, dutiful servants. We thank you, Dumi, for the sports that remind us to smile this weekend. We thank you, Temba, Kanyo, Vusi, KG, Kamogelo, and Charles. And lastly, South Africans, let us register to vote, because change begins with an X.
Aldrin Sampear on Beyond the Headline.
Yes, indeed, and remember that you're able to vote or register to vote up until midnight, so make sure that you go online, the IEC website, and register to vote. Since we've come to the end of our voyage, remember to love each other and lead with compassion. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
So bright, all I see is beauty, smiles and frowns all around, it builds you and me. Now I'm so convinced what we have is like gold. How we hold it and mold it determines how we will grow. These streets that we live upon, these streets that we walk upon.
SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide. Leading the conversation. Independent and impartial.